Isis Audiobooks presents an unabridged recording of Violet, written by S.J.I. Holiday and read by Imogen Church. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Isis Publishing Limited. Prologue. The body lies broken on the dusty, potholed track. The sky is a fading bruise of purple and grey, the alleyway illuminated by the faint lemony glow from one of the low-level windows at the back of the hotel. Parched, weedy-looking shrubs, gritty, dirty soil, and the ever-present hum of a generator somewhere close by mingles with the tinny sound of a radio from one of the rooms higher up. A mangy dog appears, its unclipped toenails scraping the cracked concrete. It sniffs, whimpers, before starting to lick at something dark and wet that's pooling on the ground near the dead man's head. The hooded man pushes the body slowly with his boot, and the dog starts circling, saliva dripping from its hungry mouth. The man makes a clicking noise with his tongue, stamps his foot once, hard. Sht, sht. The dog whimpers once more, then slinks away into the thick night. "Tell me what happened," the hooded man says. He spits out a chewed matchstick and takes a pack of crumpled cigarettes from his back pocket. "I told you on the phone." The young woman's voice shakes as she tries to compose herself. "He fell. He was climbing up the balconies. He was nearly at ours. We shouted at him. We threw things, tried to get him to stop. We told him we would call the police." "What did he say?" He lights a cigarette, puts the used match back into the box. "Nothing. He laughed. Then he said, 'Let me in, little pig, or I'll huff and I'll puff and blow your house down.' It was creepy." The hooded man snorts. "What does this mean, little pig?" "Little pig." She shivers. "It's from a nursery rhyme. It's the big bad wolf." "Wasn't he with the Red Riding Hood?" "Another one." She shakes her head. "I guess there are lots of wolves in fairy tales." He blows a series of perfect smoke rings into the air above him. "Not just in fairy tales." He coughs up a ball of phlegm and spits it on the ground, and she feels a light spray misting across her sandaled feet. She swallows hard, trying not to retch, whimpers just like the dog. "Please," she says. "Please help me." The hooded man shrugs. "Why don't you go to police if it was accident, like you say?" But what if they don't believe it? I've heard things, bad things." "Bad things about wolves?" "Bad things about Russians," she thinks. Finally, she looks him in the eye, holds his gaze. He's not that bad looking. This is not the worst thing she's ever done. "Please," she says. "Can you make this go away?" He comes closer to her, stepping over the body. She can smell him now, his hot, stale sweat. She wonders when he last washed. She shudders, imagining the smell inside his clothes to be much, much worse. Hot acid roils up her throat, and she swallows it back. She has no choice about this. She needs his help. "And the other girl," he says, blowing smoke slowly into her face. "Where is she now?" Her eyes flit up and left, towards the balcony. His eyes follow, and then back to her again. His stare is hard, his expression unreadable. She says it again, more pleading, more desperate. "Please, can you make this go away?" He grins, revealing sharp, wolfish teeth, and she hears the chink of metal on metal as he unclips his belt. There's a brief pause while he removes the cigarette and drops it on the ground, grinding it into the dirt. Then, without breaking eye contact, he slowly pulls down his zip. His huge, dark pupils gleam in the moonlight, full of want. She can't look at him anymore. She closes her eyes and tries to imagine herself somewhere else. With someone else, somewhere far from here, somewhere long ago. He shuffles closer towards her, and his trousers slide down to his ankles. The sour milk smell of him hits the back of her throat, but she won't cry. She refuses to cry. She can do this. She has to. He lays a rough, warm hand on top of her head, exerting just enough pressure to force her to her knees. Gravel cuts into her bare flesh, but she barely feels it. She is numb. "Oh yes, little pig," he says. "I can make this go away." Beijing. Chapter 1. I'm sitting alone on a concrete bench. Around me, people are swarming, shouting quickly in a language that I can't understand. Above me, the sky is a thick powder blue, like dirty paintbrushes swirled in water. The smog is so dense I can taste it. Waves of panic wash over me as I try to inhale some fresh air, and I wonder how anyone can breathe in this city. What started out as an exciting, fun morning has rapidly declined into panic and frustration. And not for the first time, I regret leaving Sam behind in Bangkok. There is something easy about that place, with the swarms of British backpackers and grinning Aussies, men on stag parties, cold beers and menus written in English. Even though Thailand is as far away from the English countryside as can be, there is a certain warmth, familiarity. Despite all the stories you hear, I felt completely safe there. But then me and Sam had that stupid falling out in the hotel lobby. I can't even remember how it started. And so here I am, sitting outside the Beijing International train station, no boyfriend, only half my luggage since my rucksack went AWOL somewhere on the way to China, and still no ticket for the train I want, which leaves tomorrow morning. I could call Sam, beg for his forgiveness, ask him to follow me out here. But firstly, I know he doesn't want to, and secondly, I'd only be doing it out of desperation. He got sucked in Thailand, didn't want to follow the plan, my plan, loop back via China and the Trans-Siberian Express to Moscow before flying home from there. He'd gone into an internet cafe and resigned from his job. He was getting more excited than I liked by the cheap beer and the hordes of stunning young women that seemed to flock to him on a daily basis. "I'd just like to hang about here a bit longer," he'd said. "Lighten up, sweetheart. You need to smoke some more weed." Idiot. He'd changed since the group of German students arrived. There'd been a wild night. I'd felt uneasy, but he'd felt the opposite. "This is the kind of fun I came for," he said. To them, not me. I knew then that my Sam was gone. Was I angry? Not really. I just hope he stayed sober enough to do the appropriate checks on some of those beautiful women that he and the German lads were spending so much time with. Now I'm alone in Beijing, a bustling metropolis of nearly 22 million people, feeling properly homesick for the first time in months. I did have fun yesterday, going for a proper Chinese tea ceremony with a young couple I'd met in the gardens near the Forbidden City. The tea had been ridiculously expensive, and I'd realised early on that it was a scam of some sort, but as scams go, it was pretty friendly. And I know more now than I ever thought I needed to about the many different kinds of Chinese tea. This morning, I was buzzing, ready for another full-on day, making sure I could fit in as many crispy duck pancakes as I could manage. All I had to do was pop down to the train station and buy my ticket. The station is huge, the guidebook said, but buying a ticket should be simple. Just make sure you go to the international section. When they said huge, I hadn't quite realised what that meant. But while I sat outside waiting for the sun to push its way through the ever-present smog, it didn't, by the way, it dawned on me that small towns in China have 5 million inhabitants, and that huge really means the station is the size of Manchester. And after walking around the whole place for 2 hours, being jostled and stared at, pointed out, and misdirected for hours on end, what I realised was that foreigners can't buy international tickets in the station after all. They have to go to a travel centre in some business hotel streets away, and that I am so over this now. This so-called adventure. And so I sat myself down on this concrete bench, and all I want to do now is cry. But that's not going to get me anywhere, certainly not to Moscow, which is where I really want to be. I need to move on, find another companion for my trip. So I take a swig of water, then I pick up my backpack and head back into the throng. Chapter 2. The Beijing International Hotel is seriously plush. Marble pillars, velvet sofas. There's a long black bar made of smooth, sparkling granite. A good-looking Chinese man with neatly gelled hair is standing behind it, polishing glasses. I could sit there, ask him to mix me a cocktail, something classic, old-fashioned, like a brandy Alexander, then sip it seductively and see who might come in and offer to buy me the next. But that's for another time. I don't want to stay here alone in this city full of noise and smog. It's too big, too impersonal. There's a reason why most backpackers follow a trail, go to the same places. I'd always thought that wasn't for me, and yet here I am alone, and I'm not happy about it at all. I'm kidding myself if I think I prefer my own company. What I need now is a new friend, a replacement for Sam. I pause, thinking again about the barman. No, what I need more than anything else is a ticket out of this place, and I just have to hope that my bag turns up before I move on. I looked down at my skirt, wondering why I'd chosen this particular look for the flight. I bought a load of things in Bangkok, thinking I might head to the beach before moving on, but that never happened. And now I look like a goddamn hippie. I don't fit in here, in this hotel, but without the rest of my clothes and my hair stuff and everything else I need, I'm just going to have to style it out. I suppose I will just have to be who this outfit suggests. The Hotel Travel Centre is a small room filled with too many rubber plants. There's a small leather sofa and one desk where someone is being served by a beautiful Chinese woman with her hair pinned up with chopsticks. I've seen this before, but not on someone wearing a navy business suit. I like the contrast. The air conditioning is on full and I'm relieved to be out of the thick, sticky heat. But after a few moments, I'm already feeling a chill on my legs. I watch the woman with the chopsticks, smiling and nodding at the customer. Blonde, hair in a messy ponytail, shorts, backpack on the floor, another traveller. Another me? I hope so. So, you're saying I can't get any sort of refund on this, even though I booked it 6 months in advance? Chopsticks nods again. So sorry, we cannot do it. The blonde sighs in frustration. It's an expensive ticket. I did call before I left the UK and was told you could deal with it here. Chopsticks shakes her head gently. She's still smiling. The blonde stands up. Fine, she says. I assume the ticket is transferable. If I can find someone else to take it. You can do that, yes. Chopsticks is beaming now. All sorted, and she didn't have to do a thing. The blonde hitches her backpack onto her shoulders, giving me a wry smile and a massive eye roll as she leaves the room. Chopsticks is heading towards a door at the back. I glance up at the clock. The minute hand ticks, and the hour hand clicks into place at the top. 5 o'clock. I jump up off the sofa. Wait, I need to buy a ticket. Sorry, we closed now, Chopstick says, her smile dipping just a little. We open 9 a.m. No, I need to get the ticket now. The train is at 7:30 tomorrow. She frowns. You want Trans-Siberian? Yes, please. No ticket left. Come back tomorrow, and you can get ticket for another day, okay? It's not okay, but she's disappeared through the back. Shit. I grab my bag and slink out of the room, beaten. For another brief moment, I want to cry, but I bite it back. Looks like I'm going to be getting to know the barman after all. There are a few others in the bar area now. A couple of businessmen in suits on the high stools at the bar, a tanned couple with umbrellaed drinks and their faces stuck in the Lonely Planet. The blonde is sitting on her own, a tall glass of beer in front of her. She's gazing out of the huge windows, watching the hordes of ant-like humans going about their business. I hesitate, not sure whether to approach her, but before I can make up my mind, she turns around and sees me. She looks confused, just for a second, then she smiles. Hey, you were in the travel centre, weren't you? Did you get sorted? I shake my head. Sold out. I need to rethink my plans. She just stares at me, saying nothing, and I stand there feeling a bit awkward. That beer looks good. I smile at her, nod towards her glass. The condensation is trickling slowly down the sides, and suddenly I am so thirsty. I have to fight the urge to pick it up and sink it in one. When did I last have a cold drink? The water in the bottle I've been lugging around with me all day is so hot now I could probably use it to make tea. Tsing Tao, she says. Sounds all exotic back home, but it's cheap and nasty here, even in this place. Mind if I join you? She moves her laptop over to the far side of the table and gestures towards the empty seat opposite. Be my guest. I've barely sat down when a smiling woman appears at my side, asking me what I want to order. I return the smile and point at the beer. One of these, unless you want another? The blonde shakes her head. Not yet. Thanks, though. I'm Violet, I tell her. Carrie, she says, offering me a small, lightly tanned hand. So, where were you trying to buy a ticket for? The woman returns with the tray. We wait patiently while she lays down a white paper coaster with a frill around the edge and places the glass carefully on top. Then she lifts a bowl of unshelled peanuts off the tray and places it down in the middle of the table. She smiles and gives me a small half bow, and I thank her and take a long drink. It tastes like heaven, and I already feel more relaxed. I wanted to get the Trans-Siberian. I wasn't fussed about which branch as long as it gets me to Moscow. I'm supposed to be meeting friends there. The last part is a lie. I have no particular reason to want to go to Moscow other than I haven't been yet, and I'm getting a bit bored with Asia. It's all a bit predictable after a while. Same sorts of people on the trail, doing the same things. I think Russia might spice things up a bit. Take my mind off Sam and everything else. It's not like I've got anything to rush back to the UK for. Oh, cool. Me too, Carrie says. Then, oh shit, sorry. You just said you couldn't get a ticket. She slaps herself on the head, then laughs. Let's have a few drinks and you can forget about it for now. The train tracks will still be there the day after tomorrow. Chapter 3. Her accent is more pronounced after 4 beers. In the travel centre, I'd only caught a subtle lilt, but now, as we sit here de-shelling peanuts and complaining about the smog, it is undeniably Scottish. Where are you from? I ask. I have relatives in Glasgow. You don't sound quite like them, but maybe somewhere nearby? She snorts. Wrong coast. Totally. I'm from Edinburgh. I get mistaken for Northern Irish a lot, though. You Southerners never get it quite right. I'm from Nottingham, I say, laughing. I throw a peanut in the air and catch it in my mouth. I've no idea where that came from. The city or the peanut trick? She raises her eyebrows. Impressive! She lifts her beer and takes a long drink. Her eyes are sparkling. You don't sound like you come from Nottingham. That's the Midlands, isn't it? I've moved a lot, lived all over. I don't think I have any accent now, not like you. She leans forwards and smirks. Do you need me to speak slower? I pretend to look confused. I've no idea what you're saying. Funny. Would you believe I spend a lot of time pronouncing my words carefully for non-natives? I'm quite good at accents, actually. She throws a peanut and tries to catch it, but it goes way wide of the mark. She swears under her breath, but she's grinning. Oh, damn it, she says in a good approximation of my accent. She's right, she's a decent mimic. I toss another peanut and catch it. I'm clearly on a roll. Maybe this boho look I've adopted comes with extra skills. Don't worry. I've spent years perfecting this as my party trick. I lie. I'd always hoped I could try that holding lipstick in your cleavage thing that Molly Ringwald does in the Breakfast Club, but I don't wear lipstick and my tits aren't big enough. The last part is true, at least. Something that caused many sleepless nights when I was a teenager, but is actually quite a relief now when my peers are complaining about sagging and I barely need to bother with a bra. Besides, I've never had any complaints. She laughs. Oh, well, if we're talking party tricks, I've got something much more impressive. Before I can ask what it is, she's got 2 fingers in her mouth and she's whistling, high-pitched, loud, like a builder hanging out of a white van. Everyone in the bar looks at us and the waitress scurries over, smiling. More beers? She does another semi-bow and scuttles back off. We collapse into fits of laughter. Oh man, I didn't expect her to come over like that. She must think I'm so rude. I drain the rest of my pint. Oh, you are rude. They're probably spitting into your glass as we speak. Don't. I used to work in a pub. I never actually saw him do it, but the chef was always threatening to do disgusting things to people's dinners. Especially if they were the, "Oh, can I have salad, not chips, and the sauce on the side? And is it possible to have the fish grilled instead of fried?" type. I thought everyone in Scotland ate everything fried. Racist. She throws a peanut shell at me, and it gets trapped in my hair. We start giggling again, and as we shake with laughter, the poor waitress has to dodge in between us to lay our pints on the table, and we ignore her. I'll make sure we leave a good tip. Assuming Carrie has cash, that is. We have to cater for the tourists, she says. Some of them eat vegetables. Except the Americans. Well, unless they're Californians, but not many of those make it all the way to Scotland. It's a long way to travel to wander about in the rain looking for haggis. She snorts. I can't stop laughing. My face aches from it, my throat dry, so dry that I almost choke, and while I'm choking, Carrie throws another peanut shell at me and she's off again. I can't remember the last time I've laughed like this. Not with Sam. Not with anyone. Not for a very long time. Carrie wipes her face with a cocktail napkin. Besides, spitting is actually okay in this country, as is squatting on toilet seats. I pull a face. Only the squat hole ones. I went into the public toilets near Tiananmen Square and it was full of squat holes and no doors. And all these girls were just there squatting and texting madly on their phones. She starts laughing again. A wave of dizziness hits me and I sway slightly in my seat. Bloody hell, Carrie says. I think we need to eat. We're getting hysterical. I fan a hand in front of my face. It's the heat. It's Baltic in here. It's the shady beer. Come on, let's neck these, then go and grab some food. You know what? Since it's our last night here, I really fancy going to the Hard Rock Cafe. I know it's cheesy as fuck and lacking any sort of cultural awareness, but... She pauses, leans in closer to me. I am so sick of rice. She laughs and deshells another peanut. Plus, Laura collects the badges, so I want to get her one. The laughter drains out of me, like water down a plug hole. Who's Laura? She waves a hand in front of her face. Her face crumples slightly. I told you, didn't I? I was meant to be travelling with her. She's my best friend from school. We went on a big night before we were due to leave, and she fell down the stairs wearing stupid heels. She pauses, takes a long drink. I watch her throat moving as the liquid moves downwards, a long, slender neck, perfect pale skin. Okay, we were actually a bit pissed. She puts the glass down and raises an eyebrow. A lot pissed. A lot more pissed than this. Anyhow, the travel insurance wouldn't cover it. She was gutted. I was gutted. I nearly didn't come. But then I thought, you know what? Why should I not come? Why give up the chance of a trip of a lifetime? Neither of us would be able to save for it again. So I came. Good for you, I cut in, relaxed again now that it's clear that Laura won't be joining us. So, how long have you been here? Oh, here? Not long. A few days. I was in Vietnam, Thailand. I feel sober all of a sudden. Were you in Bangkok? I've just come from there. I wonder now if I have seen her before. That maybe this is why I feel connected to her. Nah, just the airport. I was meant to spend a night in the city, but the taxi driver recommended this trip to Koh Samui and told me the beaches were better than the stinking city streets. His words, not mine. I kind of regret it now. But hey, I've been in the night market here, I've eaten locusts, I've done the things. Anyway, what are you doing here on your own? Been dumped? I don't want to get into this right now. Something like that, I say. She sits back in her chair, and I realise then that she's quite drunk, her eyes glazed, swimming in and out of focus. It's good that she's relaxed, because the more relaxed she is, the better chance I have of convincing her to let me have her spare ticket for the train. I like what I've seen so far. I want to get to know her better. Chapter 4. We're giggling as we fall into a taxi outside the hotel, and the beginnings of drunkenness start to fade, turning instead into a state of blissed-out happiness that I haven't felt since I arrived here. The driver is infected with our laughter and blurts out random names of rock stars as he drives us through the endless streets, horns honking around us. Bicycles weave by us as our driver calls out, "John Bon Jovi!" and "Bruce Springsteen guitar!" and starts to sing the chorus of Born to Run in heavily accented English, and Carrie waving a hand in front of her face, mouthing, "I can't breathe," which only makes us laugh more. Carrie's laughter has turned into hiccups by the time we reach the entrance. A huge concrete block of a place with the usual Hard Rock Cafe logo and various memorabilia adorning the walls as we head up the steps. A grinning waitress leads us to a table, and before I can even look at the menu, Carrie says, "2 Long Island iced teas?" The waitress does a little bow, then scurries off, still grinning. "Oh, God," I say, fanning myself with the menu. "I think I might need a Coke or something." "Shut up. You're not going soft on me already, are you, V?" She laughs again. "See what I did there? Soft." I roll my eyes, but she doesn't see, because she's picked up the menu and is studying it intently, as if she's reading the instructions for the most difficult exam she's ever taken, and is determined not to fail. Her face is scrunched in a cute approximation of drunken concentration, and it makes me happy. And she called me V, which makes me happier still. We've only known each other for a few hours, and she already has a pet name for me. After my earlier despair, it seems like the planets may have collided at just the right time after all. The waitress returns with the drinks and places them on the table on top of 2 small black napkins. "Are you ready to order? Do you need help with menu? The local legendary burger is really good." "Yep, 2 of them, please," Carrie says, snapping the menu shut. I haven't even had a chance to look yet, but I don't really care what I eat. I'm just glad to be here with this vibrant, buzzing ball of energy that I've stumbled upon. She lifts her drink. Cheers, she says, to new friends and new adventures. We chink glasses and I take a sip. Carrie downs half of hers in one. The waitress is still gathering up the menus, tidying up the table, and I grab her arm gently. Could we have a jug of water too, please? Of course. She grins at me and scurries off. Carrie rolls her eyes. You trying to stop me getting drunk? No, of course not. I pause, worrying now that I've upset her. I just need a drink of water, or I'm not sure I'm going to get through this cocktail. I'm a bit of a lightweight. What's in it? She laughs. Oh my God. You mean you didn't go out underage drinking in places like this and order the cocktail with the most alcohol you could find because you could only afford one? I shake my head. I didn't really do anything like that. There was nothing like this near where I grew up. Me and Laura used to go up to this American diner place on the high street, you know, the Royal Mile. That road that all the tourists love because it links Edinburgh Castle to Holyrood Palace, and it's full of tacky tartan fudge and bagpipers. She laughs again and takes a sip of her drink. It was called the Filling Station. When I first heard of it, I thought it was a garage. Anyway, it was a great place for underagers. I think they thought we wouldn't stay too long so they could get away with it. Seeing that, most of the bars around the Grassmarket and the Cowgate let us in too. Starting the night with one of these was our wee tradition. I take a sip, and it's actually quite nice. Sweet and sour, but with a definite kick. I feel the warmth hit my stomach, and I let myself relax again. I'm not that much of a lightweight. Far from it. I'm just trying to keep my wits about me so I don't blow it with my new potential friend. The water arrives, and then the burgers, and we don't talk for a while as we eat. Carrie picks up the burger and squashes it together as much as she can, opening her mouth and taking a huge bite. Sauce dribbles down her chin and she wipes it away quickly with a napkin before taking another bite. She is devouring it, as if she hasn't eaten for days, whereas I have removed the salad and the bacon and have cut the burger in half, nibbling on it. I feel self-conscious as I eat, but Carrie is one of those people who just gets stuck in, and I think this says a lot about her. Tell me about this ex, then, she says, still chewing. Did he dump you on the trip or before you left home? Come on, V, what's your story? I lay the burger back on the plate and nibble on a couple of fries. It was in Bangkok. He just dumped me, just like that. No explanation. I didn't bother to hang around. Fuck's sake, what a prick! She takes a long drink of water. She seems less pissed now that the food has started to soak up the alcohol. Were you together long? I make a non-committal face and hope that she takes the hint. I've been plagued by bad luck on this trip, I say, finishing the last of my cocktail. The waitress must be watching us as she comes scurrying over to collect the glasses. 2 more? She says. You enjoy the food? Carrie nods, and the waitress grins at us again before disappearing off towards the kitchen. Go on, she says. I was feeling sorry for myself not being with Laura. Hearing about other folks' travelling disasters is making me feel better. Well, I've been away for a long time now. Nearly a year. Before Sam, that's your Bangkok bastard. I laugh. Yes. Well, before him, there was Michael. Oh, don't tell me he was a bastard too. I'm starting to think they really are all the same. My ex was called Greg. I dumped him just before we left. She pauses and takes an angry bite of her burger. Someone sent me a message telling me he was cheating on me. Shit, I say. Did you confront him? She laughs, but it's humourless. You could say that. Anyway, old fucking news. The waitress places 2 more drinks in front of us, and Carrie holds hers aloft. Cheers, she says. I tap my glass against hers and take a long, slow drink. She didn't give me a chance to tell her what happened to Michael, and the moment is gone, and that's fine. It's probably better she doesn't know. For now, at least. You know, she continues, I think I might be off men altogether. Pointless, useless, and far too much hassle. She puts her glass on the table. Give me a rampant rabbit and a few semi-naked pics of Gerard Butler in 300 and I'll be fucking sorted. She laughs, then she leans across the table and puts both of her hands on top of mine. Her expression turns serious. Listen, don't suppose you want my spare ticket. It's for the Mongolian branch and I've got a couple of planned stop-offs. I kind of thought it might be interesting. She takes her hands away and leans back in her chair, picks up her napkin and wipes her mouth, then folds it into a neat square and lays it on the top of her empty plate. Like I said, Laura had to cancel, so I came on my own. But to be honest, after having a laugh with you tonight, I'm not sure I'm really up for being on my own anymore. Plus, it's a total waste of a ticket. I can't believe what she's saying. This is not what usually happens. It's normally me that's the impulsive one. It's usually me who has to do the convincing. But I don't need convincing. I don't even ask for any more details. I just gaze at her beautiful face and can't believe my luck. Yes, I say. 100% yes. 2. lauralee@gmail.com. From carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject, got a new pal, you're dumped. Only kidding. Right, so I tried to get a refund on your portion of the train ticket, but the woman was like, computer says no, raging. Anyway, met this woman at the travel centre. She'd been dumped by her useless boyfriend. Sounds familiar, eh? And they said there were no tickets left. Anyway, I saw this girl and I thought she might be an interesting travelling companion, mainly because she headed straight to the bar when they told her there were no tickets left. So I just blurted it out and asked if she wanted to take the ticket, and she said yes. Yay! Maybe because I didn't say she had to pay for it, but we can work that out. Anywho, we went out for dinner and she's a total riot. I'll email you again ASAP. Reply when you can and tell me your news. I am so out of the loop over here. Love you. C. Kiss. P.S. Hope you're recovering and not too jealous about me jet-setting around the globe while you're in your jammies with that big stookie. You know what? I think we, but mainly you, need to start wearing more sensible drinking shoes. PPS, I know you keep banging on about me using Messenger, but I am trying to avoid being on there because you know why. And anyway, you can look forward to my emails like I'm sending you a postcard. In fact, maybe I will send you a postcard. Hashtag old school. PPPS, I got you a badge. Smiley face. Beijing, Ulaanbaatar. Chapter 5. We made it onto the train without any issues. Smartly suited but unsmiling hostesses showed us to our cabin, and we immediately went off to find the dining car, to have a drink and to see who else was around. And now that the buzz has worn off a little and the hangovers are kicking in, we're back in the cabin, sitting on the edges of our beds. I've dealt us both our cards and placed them on the small table under the window between us, but they remain untouched, next to 2 plastic cups filled with warm Coke. It was Carrie's idea to play poker, but apart from her telling me the rules, we haven't got very far. Carrie gazes out of the window, and I watch her, watching the landscape. Flat fields of cracked ochre mud, pylons and run-down shacks. I have no idea where we are. Other than that we are still in China because we haven't stopped yet to let the border guards come on. I heard someone earlier, one of the old ones from the organised tour group, say that we would hit the border late at night or early in the morning. They'd slow down the journey on purpose so that the guards could join the train when most people were sleeping. Then we'd sit for a while as they changed over the wheels on each carriage because of the wider tracks outside of China. We saw the sellers clambering on at the last stop, laden with checkered laundry bags filled with cheap jeans, fake branded t-shirts, bags and caps. The guards might let some of them through without paying import tax, or they might not. It was a risky business, but it was better than drugs, and people had to make a living somehow. Those sellers won't be sleeping tonight. They'll be waiting in their cabins, drinking black coffee to stay alert. Their gifts for the border guards stashed under the bunks, hoping for a sympathetic ear. I wanted to take a sleeping pill and avoid the whole thing. I'd experienced it all before at other border crossings, and I knew the guards would be loud and rude and unreasonable. They could search the whole of our cabin, toss everything on the floor if they wanted. I didn't know if Carrie knew any of this. "Have you crossed a border on a train before?" I asked her. She snorts. "Of course! In Europe, though, not in Asia. I once smuggled a lump of hash from Amsterdam to Paris in a sock. I was terrified the whole time. When the guards came on, I nearly peed my pants. But they didn't even look at me. I guess I don't look like an international drugs mule." She laughs, takes a sip of Coke. "In fact, that means I might make a good one. Maybe I'll look into it." She winks. Perhaps I've made a big mistake. I don't even know her. She found me at my most vulnerable and she helped me. I appreciate it. We had fun. We can have more fun if she lets me stick around. "I was just thinking about dinner last night," she says, as if she has just read my mind. As predicted, it was totally cheesy and we could have been anywhere, but I kind of liked how excited that group of students were to see us. So random that they wanted to take so many photos of us. "They think we're exotic," I say, "with our pale skin and wide eyes. Our height, too. We're like goddesses to them. They've no idea that they're the beautiful exotic ones." "Speak for yourself," she says. She licks her top lip with the tip of her tongue. I feel something stir inside me. She is exotic, more so than me. Her skin is smooth and lightly tanned. Her blonde, highlighted hair is naturally straight and shiny. She wears neatly fitting shorts and vest tops. She smells of lemons. I, on the other hand, seem to be clad in rags beside her. My long gypsy skirt and faded Nirvana t-shirt don't really show me off like her clothes do. My hennaed hair is in need of some TLC. It's been so long since I brushed it, it's turning into dreadlocks. I'm always pale, avoiding the sun. I smell of rose and jasmine, a blend of oils that I've been wearing since I was 13 years old when I first mixed them together in an atomizer that my grandmother left me when she died. We are very different. And yet here we are. She offered me the second bed in her cabin. She let this happen. She let me borrow whatever I needed until my bag turned up. Of course, it didn't turn up and probably never will. I will buy what I need when we get there. I'll change my style again. I don't know what people dress like in Ulaanbaatar, but it won't be long before I find out. I glance at Carrie. She's lying on her bed now, still and quiet, one hand resting on her chest. Her rib cage gently rises and falls. I can see the perfect mounds of her breasts above her thin vest. Her clavicle stands high and sharp, and I have to try very hard not to lean over and run my finger across it. I'll pay for the ticket when we get to the next stop, I say quietly. I hope she'll let me stay with her in Mongolia. I feel like we're only just getting started. Whatever, she says, in a way that says she's chilled, not indifferent. She doesn't open her eyes. I stare out at the window. Those same bleak fields, the rhythmic ba-dum, ba-dum of the train on the tracks. I lean back against the wall, letting the sounds hypnotize me. Ba-dum, ba-dum. A screech, now and then. The train lurches from side to side. I close my eyes and wonder what would have happened if I hadn't walked into the travel centre and found her there, and me so desperate to take this trip. She's my beautiful, perfect saviour. I've barely thought about Sam since I met her. She's going to be good for me, I think. I just hope I can control myself this time. 2 Carrie82@hotmail.com. From lauralee@gmail.com. Subject, got a new pal you're dumped. OMG, you've replaced me already. Seriously, Kaz, that is great. I didn't tell you how much it was stressing me out about that bloody ticket. To be honest, I'm not even bothered about the money that much. I'm glad it's gone to a good home. You need to tell me everything about your new friend, though. Come on. Are you on the train yet? What's it like? And can we please use Messenger? I hate waiting for your emails. I miss you. Nothing much is happening here, as I am sure you can imagine. Edinburgh is cold and wet and full of tourists. Sheila from work has taken your place in the quiz team. She lacks your musical knowledge, but she knows everything else. She's actually quite a laugh after a couple of shandies. Tell me everything. Miss you. L. Kiss, kiss, kiss. P.S. I saw Greg. I know that's what you were hinting at, but are refusing to acknowledge. Why won't you tell me what happened with you two? He looks forlorn. 2 lauralee@gmail.com. From Carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject, got a new pal you're dumped. Her name is Violet, and she reckons she's from Nottingham, but she sounds more like a home counties rich kid, and she dresses like a proper 90s grunge hippie. Is that a thing? She has terrible hair, all matted henna dreads. She really needs a makeover. She looks like she's been travelling for 20 years. I'm pretty sure she's our age, though. But apart from that, we seem to be totally on the same wavelength, and I'm loving hanging out with her. We'll see how it goes. Yes, we are on the train. I'm writing this from the toilet. I went for a walk along the carriages, and there's a massive tour group full of pensioners, and they are bloody loving it. Me and you need to do massive trips when we're pensioners. None of that bingo fish and chips Friday shite. I told you I'm not using Messenger. Anyway, the time difference means we'll hardly ever be online at the same time, so email makes more sense. Plus, I can write loads without you butting in. I'm not talking about Greg. We'll email more when we get to the next stop. The train is great. It's like the Orient Express, except not as fancy. You would love it. See, kiss. P.S. There is a very sexy guy working in the restaurant. I think he's Russian, but that is based entirely on his brooding Slavic cheekbones. Can cheekbones brood? Are Russians Slavic? Ask Sheila if she knows so much. He's never actually spoken to us. He's given us free vodka at every meal. Maybe he gives it to all the guests, but I think he fancies me, trying to decide whether to proceed. P.P.S. I am not going to proceed. I am so off men right now. Ulaanbaatar, Chapter 6. Carrie has been reading the guidebook entry for Mongolia. Their capital, Ulaanbaatar, is our first proper stop on this journey where we will actually get off the train for longer than a 5-minute cigarette break. Genghis Khan was born around 1162 near the border between modern Mongolia and Siberia. Legend holds that he came into the world clutching a blood clot in his right hand. Carrie reads aloud. Before he turned 10, his father was poisoned to death by an enemy clan. His own clan then deserted him, his mother and his 6 siblings in order to avoid having to feed them. She blows out a breath. Harsh. That's all fascinating, obviously, I say, tipping a cigarette out of the packet from the fresh carton that we bought at the last stop. Something else that the platform sellers are keen on hawking. I stick the cigarette behind my ear. But have you booked accommodation here? Only, well, I don't have anything, obviously. And I can ask a taxi driver or... Oh, for God's sake, she says, jumping up off the bunk and dropping the book into her backpack. You can stay with me. I've got everything booked for 2, haven't I? She hoists her backpack onto her shoulders. Come on, let's go down to the door. We'll be stopping in a minute. The train has slowed right down, and it's clear from the chatter outside in the corridor that the tour group are excited that we're approaching a major stop. I pick up my own backpack and follow Carrie out of the cabin. Our little home for the last 24 hours where we've started a new friendship and a new adventure. I'd been scared to ask if she was happy for me to continue on the journey with her, wondering if maybe up to the first stop was all she was happy to share. I don't want to seem too needy. I've made that mistake before. Have a wonderful time in Ulaanbaatar, girls, says a sprightly-looking lady in beige pocketed jungle shorts. I can't remember her name. See you in Moscow, Marion. We'll get fired into the proper vody there. Carrie pats her back pocket. I've got your email. She's staying off the firewater from now on, the man next to her says. Can't control her. Carrie laughs. Well, Steve, what kind of fun would it be if you could control her, eh? She steps forwards and hugs them both. Then we climb down the steep metal stairs and onto the dusty platform. Right, she says. Let's go and find out what this place is all about. I follow her down the platform, envying her warm, easy personality. She'd got to know the people in that tour group while I'd been far more reserved, spending most of my time watching her engage. She is fascinating. I had planned to get off elsewhere, but Carrie's ticket had destinations pre-booked, and with her helping me out, I could hardly make a fuss. She hasn't said anything about paying her since she handed me the ticket, and she's paid for everything else, too. I'm wondering if I don't bring it up, will she? It's not like I can't pay her. I assume I can withdraw what I need in Ulaanbaatar, and I have a roll of emergency dollars in a hidden pocket of my bag. But why pay for things if you don't need to? We're outside the station now. I'm smoking, casting a surreptitious eye around the place, but trying to look casual, while Carrie speaks to the station guard, showing him the map and the guidebook. He's shaking his head and pointing to the patch of land that seems to be the car park. Several men stand waiting. All of them are smoking. None of them look particularly threatening, but you never know. I would suggest that we walk, but my quick flick through the guidebook earlier makes me think it might be too far with our rucksacks to carry. I take a moment to check Sam's Facebook and see that he is #hanging. What a surprise. All he seems to do there is party. There's a picture of him with one of the German lads, both of them grinning and holding massive beers. I enlarge the photo, trying to see if there are any girls in the background, but it's dark and grainy, probably in one of those awful clubs. I put my phone back in my bag. Looking at the mainly elderly gents hovering around their tatty cars, I think it's unlikely that any will offer to carry our bags on their heads like they did when I was in India. I told Carrie about this in the Hard Rock Cafe, and she snorted in an "I don't believe you" way, but the only places she'd been before Beijing were Vietnam and Thailand, and the culture there is not the same at all. The Indian bag carriers are called coolies, and they are waiting at every train station. Between them and the men lugging around the huge pots of steaming chai and tiny earthenware cups, it's a very different experience to this so far. Also, there are no monkeys scampering across the tracks here. So far, Mongolia is not particularly inspiring. A trickle of the younger passengers have set off on foot, while a few others have headed towards the taxis. There is a minor flurry of excitement and some rapid-fire conversation as the drivers decide between them who they will take and probably what inflated prices they can charge. Luckily, Carrie has read the guidebook in more detail than I have, and she won't let us be ripped off. I drop my cigarette and crush it underfoot. Carrie comes back at last. The station guard has recommended a taxi driver who she assures me will not overcharge or kill us. So I hitch my rucksack onto my back and follow her to the car. She hands over the address written neatly on a piece of paper. "Let's drop our bags at the hostel, then get out and explore the place," Carrie says. We pass flats, low, ramshackle houses, a couple of fancy-looking glass buildings. "I was looking at the guidebook earlier," I say. "Apparently, there are 2 Irish pubs and a British pub here. Maybe we can head there for a bit." I really want her to say yes. As much as I love discovering new things, I'm feeling quite tired after the train journey, the effort of it all. I'd love to go somewhere that feels like home just for a bit. The culture will still be there tomorrow. "Oh, definitely," she says. "I saw those too. I fancy a walkabout, then a proper night out." She leans over and takes a strand of my hair between her fingers, twirls it around. "We can get dressed up." "Have you looked outside?" I say. "Not sure it's a very dress-up sort of place." The taxi driver looks into his rear-view mirror and I catch his eye for a moment. He's smiling. Maybe he knows something we don't, assuming he understands what we're saying. "Good shop," he says, pointing out to the right. We follow his line of sight to a monolithic building. It looks like a communist prison, but I try to be optimistic. A department store, maybe? From what I've seen so far, this place is such a mishmash. "Brilliant!" Carrie says. "Can you recommend a good restaurant?" The taxi driver laughs. "No Mongolian barbecue here." Carrie opens her mouth to question him further, but then the car swings around a bend and comes to a stop next to a cut-through to a small square lined with terraced houses. They've been painted various colours, but the paint is faded and peeling. One of them has a sign nailed on the wall next to the front door, but I can't make out what it says. The driver points. "Sunrise Guest House," he says. I turn to Carrie, trying to work out if there's been a mistake. It looks like we're in the middle of a housing estate, and not a particularly nice one at that. But she's already out of the car, handing over notes. Picking up her rucksack from where the driver has dropped both of them onto the rough, cracked concrete. Oh well, beggars can't be choosers. Chapter 7. The front door opens before we get all the way across the square. "Welcome, welcome," says the woman standing on the doorstep. She is tall and slim, long dark hair in one braid over her shoulder. She has high cheekbones and shining almond eyes, and she is wearing faded blue jeans and a cream smock top with multicoloured tassels hanging from the neck. She looks fresh and welcoming, and I feel shabby in front of her. Even Carrie doesn't look so fresh after nearly 30 hours on a train without a shower. As we get closer, I see that she has tried to make an effort with the garden. Despite the scorched patches of grass, there are planters lining the wall under the window, a mix of flowering and spiky cacti, and a few coloured rocks in the dry soil. She sees me looking. "Best we can do in this climate. Nothing grows, you know. You might have noticed the fields, if that's even what we can call them. I'm Geriel," she says. "It means a bright light in Mongolian. We like to choose our names carefully in our culture. It's nice to do this, is it not? And you must be Carrie." "Actually, I'm Carrie." She steps forwards and the woman at the door beams. "This is my friend, Violet." "Hello," I say, feeling shy all of a sudden. I don't know why, but I hadn't expected this kind of welcome, this kind of accommodation. Meeting Carrie in the Beijing International Hotel, I had assumed that she would be staying in places like that all the time. But it looks like I misinterpreted that. It's unlike me to get it so wrong. "Come inside. You must be desperate for some tea and perhaps a shower," Geriel says. "In that order, definitely," says Carrie.
End of CD 1. CD 2.
We follow Geriel into the house, and it's clear that she has put a lot of effort into the interior. I suppose I shouldn't have judged the place by its exterior, but it's a natural reaction. I saw something I liked in Carrie, and so far she doesn't disappoint. "This is the kitchen and the lounge of it. Please come and go as you please. We like to gather here at the end of the day to chat, to drink tea, to talk about our day, and to give thanks." There are various prints on the walls, Buddhas and sunsets, beaches, beautiful women in impossible yoga poses, various words of wisdom printed in a pretty typeface on top of the images. "It is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. The root of suffering is attachment. Speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you." I try to catch Carrie's eye, but she seems enthralled by them. Personally, I think it's all a bit much, and the thought of sitting in the lounge with a group of strangers giving thanks makes me shudder. I might look like a hippie today, but like I said, it was meant to be beachwear. However, letting my hair go matted just makes it easier to handle because I don't have to think about it. I know that one day soon I'm going to have to let someone cut it all off, but for now, it's doing the job. Besides, if I dress like this, I blend in. And I found that blending in is the best way to get what you want. Finally, Geriel shows us to our room. 2 single beds with yellow crocheted bedspreads, a white painted dresser with another cactus sitting on a wooden coaster, and a small bathroom off to the side. Despite my initial reservations, it's perfect, and I'm delighted to throw my bag on the floor and lie down on a bed that is at least double the width of my body. Don't get me wrong, I loved sleeping on the train, but this feels like luxury in comparison. There was barely room to swing a cat in the cabin. At last, I say, kicking off my boots. I thought she was going to make us join a moon circle before lunch. I lift my head to look at Carrie, who is already unpacking, removing neatly rolled clothes from her bag and putting her toiletries on the dresser. She's all right. You need to play the game, Violet. Soak it all up, then discard it. Smile in the right places. It gets you far in this world, especially if you want something. I feel myself bristle at her words, at her insinuation that I am not doing things right. I've been travelling for long enough to know how it all works. I might not be a people-pleaser like Carrie with the shiny hair and the fake smile, but I usually get what I want. She'll realise that soon enough. I say nothing, deciding that letting her believe she is educating me is the right way to ingratiate myself further. I want something, all right, and I know I'll get it. Anyway, she carries on, realising that I am not going to contradict her. Let's get freshened up and get out of here. I want to explore. It has to be more than cracked concrete and dull buildings, the guidebook said. Do you want to have a shower first, or shall I? I give her my best smile, and it knocks her off guard. Oh, right, yeah. You go. Hang on. She rustles about in her bag and pulls out a fat red tub. Put this on your hair. Leave it in while you get washed and whatever. It'll soften those tangles. She cocks her head to one side, appraising me like a little bird. I might even be able to brush it for you. She stands beside me at the dresser, and we look into the mirror together. She pulls my hair back off my face. Smile, she says, and I have no choice but to oblige. She smiles too, both of us grinning like lunatics into the mirror. See? We're quite alike, actually, when you get that mop out of the way. I'll give you a makeover, and then we'll hit the town. Any stab of annoyance I started to feel has disintegrated now, with the soft touch of her fingertips on the back of my neck. 2. Carrie82@hotmail.com. From lauralee@gmail.com. Subject, re. Got a new pal, you're dumped. Bored to fuck here. I phoned William Hill and put a bet on that you shagged the sexy Russian. Don't let me down. I must live my life vicariously right now. L. Kiss. 2. lauralee@gmail.com. From Carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject, re. Got a new pal, you're dumped. Just a quick one to let you know we're in Ulaanbaatar. That's in Mongolia, in case you didn't know. The locals call it UB, which I suppose is much easier to pronounce, not to mention spell. Seriously? Do you know anyone who's been to Mongolia? Mental! So far, no barbecues. I'm beginning to think we've been missold the Mongolian experience. Haha! Staying in a wee guest house with new age mama type, but she seems okay, to be fair. Wants us to go all communal and do sun salutations before supper, but I kinda see it somehow. I gave her the smiley spiel and she likes us now. Well, me, anyway. Violet looked like I'd brought her into a cult. Anywho, getting changed and heading out on the town. I'll take pics. The guidebook is telling us to ditch the traditional restaurants and head to an Irish bar. Seems like slightly suspect advice, but we're going to go for it, I think. Maybe pop into one of the other places first, just to see. Need to go shopping, too. Taxi driver pointed out this big hulk of a building that looks like it might sell 10-kilo bags of rice and shoes made from Hessian sacks, but I'm trying to remain positive. I wonder what Mongolian chocolate is like. I'll bring you some. Missing you, doll. Violet is nice, but she's no you. I'm giving her a makeover if she ever gets out of the shower. Damn it, should have taken a before pic. What's your news? C. Kiss. P.S. Hope you didn't bet your flat on the Russian. Told you, I'm off men. Too much stress. 2. Carrie82@hotmail.com. From lauralee@gmail.com. Subject, re. Got a new pal, you're dumped. Glad to hear you're missing me. My leg has reached peak itchiness. Thankfully, I had a knitting needle from that kit we both bought after the beginner's workshop. It's perfect for scratching down inside the cast, but I think I might actually start knitting something. Might have a scarf for you by the time you get home. BTW, I was expecting more from you on the Greg thing, mainly because you didn't even ask how I ended up seeing him when I'm stuck here with this affliction. I'm actually quite good on the crutches. My mum came and took me down to Costa. I nearly cried. I hate being stuck inside, especially when you're over there doing the most exciting things ever. Buy me a handbag made from yak wool or whatever weird animals they have over there. Andy and Elaine are coming over later with Dominoes and the new Halloween DVD. I'd say, what has my life become? But it's better than sitting here on my own. At least I got out to the quiz the other night. I might replace you with Sheila long term. As if. Keep having fun. Love, L. Kiss. Chapter 8. She's done an excellent job with my hair. The tub of magical conditioner followed by her careful, methodical brushing with a tangle teaser has worked wonders. I need to dye it now, of course, to complete the effect. The henna is faded and it's about time I went back to my dark blonde roots. Maybe a bit of bleach through the ends to give it a sun-kissed look. I used the time while she was in the shower to check Sam's Facebook again. Latest update, photo of him gurning disrespectfully outside a temple. What did I ever see in him? Then I had a quick route through Carrie's bag, being careful to put everything back where I found it. I tried to check her phone, but she's got a password on there, so I had a squiz at her laptop instead. How are the shorts? She says, glancing down at me as we walk. The t-shirt really suits you, you know. I mutter, catching my reflection in the dull glass of what looks like an electric store. Quite a transformation. She's done a great job with my impromptu makeover, but I don't want her thinking she's changed my life or anything. I've had many different looks. I've been fatter than this. I've been much slimmer. I've had black hair and piercings and leather-look leggings. I've had summer dresses and lightly curled blonde locks with extensions, of course. There's no need to waste time growing your hair these days. But I feel like I am showing Carrie my vulnerable side by letting her take control of how I look, so I will give her the praise she craves. I don't know how to thank you, I say. I stop walking and lay a hand on her arm, exerting just the right amount of pressure so that she stops too. She looks surprised, and then her face breaks into a huge grin. "You're so welcome, love. Now, let's get ourselves into the shop, see what magical wares are on display." She nudges me, and I link arms with her. The building looms in front of us, and I'm glad to be going inside, away from the small army of feral children who have taken to following us along the streets. No doubt Carrie will want to buy things for them in the department store, but I'm sure that they're part of one of those begging gangs, and I'd rather not have any contact with them at all. Inside, the shop is a little disappointing. I'd hoped that the harsh stone shell was protecting a precious gem, but actually, it's all very functional and is filled with the hollow echoes of an indoor market. I can't read the signs on the boards, but there are helpful graphics depicting food, women's clothes, men's clothes, shoes, and something a bit confusing that turns out to be local crafts. "Right, we need some supplies," Carrie says. "I'll go and get snacks and drinks, and you can do a recce on the rest of the place. What do you think?" I'm a bit confused as to why we need snacks and drinks when we're meant to be going out for dinner. "Sure, although I'm not really hungry." "Not for now, Daphne." She rolls her eyes. "For the room. Here." She rummages in her small bag and pulls out a roll of notes. "Take some cash. Buy us a surprise." She holds the money out towards me. The notes are unfamiliar, and I have no idea how much they're worth. She could be giving me 50 pence and waiting for me to make a fool of myself at the counter when I tried to buy something for a £5. You never know what these currencies are like. "Where did you get that?" We've been together the whole time since we got on the train in Beijing. She definitely hasn't been to a cash point, because if she had, surely she'd have suggested I take some money out too. Somehow, up to now, I've managed to get away without spending any money. She seems oblivious to what she's paying out. "Got it in Beijing. Didn't know what the bank situation would be like. See you back here in 20. She marches off before I can say anything else. I glance around, taking in the high ceilings, the staircase, the openings to each of the various halls. People scurry around, chattering, busy with their day, not interested in me, and I stare up at the ceiling, at the peeling paintwork. I close my eyes, trying to block it all out. Then I take a deep breath, open my eyes, and paste on a smile. The sooner we get this over with, the sooner we can go somewhere else where I can ask Carrie more questions about herself and tell her as little as possible about me. The local crafts floor is just as you'd expect it to be. Lots of knitted or woven items. I touch a jumper and the wool is scratchy. The woman behind the table smiles at me, but she can obviously tell I am not going to buy it. I wander through the aisles separating the various tables of trinkets and come to a stand with hundreds of small woolen bags hanging off it. They are made of the same rough wool as the jumper, but it seems to work better for bags. I pick up a yellow one with a maroon rose and a blue one with white stitching around the edges. "How much are these?" I ask a woman standing nearby, who I assume is the seller. The woman frowns, then takes a small notebook and pen from the pocket of her tabard. She scribbles something on it and holds it up for me to see. 20,000 MNT, it says. I pull the notes from my pocket. I have 2 20,000s and a 10,000. Pink and green, orange and brown, respectively. Both denominations have the same face, which I recognise as Genghis Khan. Is he the only famous Mongolian? He certainly seems to dominate the guidebook. I hope I'm not blowing all Carrie's cash, and I do for a moment think it's quite stupid of me to not have bothered to check the exchange rate, but things have been different since I met Carrie. I've somehow found myself swept along, doing what she's planned, acting as a substitute for her friend with the broken leg. Perhaps I should get one of these bags for her, too. It would be a nice touch, another reason for Carrie to trust me. I'm quite enjoying being a kept woman. It's such a nice break from having to do everything myself. Like with Sam. If it wasn't for me pushing things along, I'd never have got with him in the first place. There's an orange bag with a white flower on the front. I unhook it and hand it over to the woman to wrap. 25,000 for the 3, I say. She laughs in my face, not in a nasty way, in that same childish way that I had noticed in Beijing. She shakes her head. She understands me well enough now, it seems. 30,000, she says. 25, I try again. I'm confident now that I am dealing in pennies, not pounds. But what's the fun in buying this crap if you don't even try to knock them down? I think about all the stuff I haggled for in Bangkok. Better stuff than this. 25, I say, dropping the money back into my pocket and making it look like I'm going to walk off. Her smile dips to low beam. Okay. 25. She thrusts the carrier bag containing the bags at me and gestures with her fingers. I hand her the money and she hands me another note in change. Pink, still Genghis. She's already talking to someone else. I think about trying to say thank you in Mongolian, but realise I have absolutely no idea what the word might be. Back in the lobby, Carrie is waiting. She has one large carrier bag, and I can see what looks like a huge bag of crisps sticking out of the top. She's leaning on the wall, and when she stands, there's the sound of bottles clinking together. I hold my bag up in front of me. Got you a present. Hope the exchange rate isn't mental. She laughs. How much? 25? For 3? She wrinkles her face in concentration. 10k is about 3 quid, so 750. 3? You said? Who's the third? She takes the carrier from me, rummages inside and pulls out the orange bag. Oh, these are perfect, she says. Sort of rank, but actually nice. I got one for your friend. Laura? I thought, well, as I'm taking her place. Oh, nice work, love. This is exactly the kind of shitey tat that Laura loves. In fact, she asked for something just like this. You must be a mind reader. She links her arm through mine and starts walking. I was thinking we'd take this stuff back to the B&B first, but actually, why don't we just head out? I'm quite up for a few bevs. You can tell me about this ex of yours. I just smile at that. I won't be telling her anything of the sort. I let her march us out of the shop, pleased with myself. I'm doing well. Chapter 9. The pub is full of wood panelling, green leather seats, gold and green patterned carpet. The walls are adorned with hundreds of signs. Tipperary, 200 miles. Céad Míle Fáilte, and various football and rugby shirts. I glance around. We could be anywhere in the world, just like in the Hard Rock Cafe the other night. Wow, Carrie says. It's like they went to Ireland or us and bought the entire stock. I laugh. That really should be a shop. They'd make a killing on these Irish bars around the world. I think back to the Irish bar I'd found in Beijing the night before I met Carrie. I'd chatted to a pilot in there for a while. He bought me a few drinks and I thought he might be a good candidate for my new friend. But the more whiskey he drank, the more I started to doubt his story. He might have been a pilot once, but I wasn't convinced. Some people are pathetic when they lie. Carrie heads over to a booth seat in the corner close to the bar. A couple of lads sitting on stools at the bar glance over at us, throwing appraising looks, but I look away. I hope Carrie doesn't invite them over. A pretty girl who looks about 15, wearing a green polo shirt with the bar's emblem in gold on her left breast, arrives at the table with a notebook and pen. She places 2 leather-bound menus on the table. "Hi," she says. "I really recommend the cheeseburgers today. Can I get you a drink first? Some Guinness, maybe?" She has the barest hint of an accent, but her words are precise, as if she has rehearsed this short speech. "I'll have a lager, actually," Carrie says. She looks across the table at me expectantly. "Same." The waitress opens her mouth, ready to reel off the brands. "You choose," I say, and she smiles and scurries off. Carrie opens the menu and starts reading it out loud. "Homemade Irish stew, corned beef and cabbage." She looks up and rolls her eyes, then goes back to the menu. "Irish cheddar cheese on homemade soda bread." She runs a finger down the page. "Burgers made with genuine Irish beef." She snaps the menu shut. "Really? They import Irish beef?" One of the guys at the bar, who has clearly been earwigging, leans over to our table. "They have to import everything here. Vegetables from China because nothing grows. Meat from Russia." "Thanks for your input," Carrie says without turning round. The other guy laughs, then slaps his friend on the back. "Burn," he says and gives me a wink. I ignore him and open my menu. Why do men assume that all women want to talk to them? Sam and his irritating friends were exactly the same. Only difference was, I actually did want to talk to him, but it was hard to get into a proper conversation with the others around. Carrie leans across the table and whispers, "Maybe later. Let's make them work for it." I give her a small smile, hoping it masks my irritation. She is one of those women who craves male attention. I'd hoped she was better than that. I need to captivate her more, it seems. "Oh!" She slaps her hand on the table. "I'm so stupid. You're thinking about Sam, aren't you? I'm so insensitive." "I'm not thinking about Sam." I lie. "I'd rather just talk to you, though, not them." She shrugs. "Fair enough." The waitress returns with our pints and a basket of popcorn. "Later, for food," Carrie says, taking a handful and stuffing it into her mouth. She chews quickly, then licks the salt off her lips. "Okay, forget Sam. Forget men." She lifts her pint, then mouths a kiss at me over the top of it. I decide to move on. "Do you think Gabriel is expecting us for dinner?" One of the men from the bar looks over at us again, but his mate nudges him and mutters something I can't hear. Then they laugh, and I know they are saying something shit about us because that's what these types always do. "Oh, Gabriel, sweetness and light. Is that what she said?" "Something like that." "I was named after the Stephen King character. My mum was a massive fan." I'm about to take a drink and have to stop to take this in. "No way. Wasn't she a bit mental?" Carrie laughs. "Not at all. Her mother was a religious wacko. Carrie was telekinetic. She wasn't bad. She just took revenge on the arseholes that tried to make her life hell, including her mum. Thankfully, mine is nothing like Carrie's mum. She just likes Stephen King. To be honest, I'm quite happy with the choice. It's a talking point." She shrugs. "Besides, could have been worse. She could have called me Christine after the possessed car." A girl in my class at primary school was called Christine. She was an annoying little whinger of a kid. One of those with a constantly snotty nose and horrible pink NHS specs. I wonder where she is now. Carrie takes another handful of popcorn. What about you? Violet is a great name. Was your mum a hippie? Flower child? Have you got sisters called Daisy and Tulip? Well, I take a long, slow drink. She's gazing at me, waiting for an answer. I actually wasn't given this name by my parents. I changed it when I left school. It's after the whole song. You know it? She wrinkles her nose, drops her brows. As in Courtney Love Hole? Courtney ruined your man's life there. She lifts her chin, gesturing at my t-shirt. Her accent has gone decidedly Irish. It depends whose account you want to believe, I say sniffily. I loved Kurt Cobain, of course I did, but I loved Courtney too. They were the 90s Sid and Nancy. Oh, how I ached to be part of that lifestyle. Didn't their daughter disown her for being a terrible mother? She takes another drink. Maybe that was about the name, though. Who the hell would be happy with Frances Bean, for fuck's sake? It doesn't matter, it's the song I liked. I correct myself. Do you know it? She looks up as if trying to get the song to slot into place in the jukebox inside her head. She hums a few bars. Take everything, everything, something like that. Yeah. I'm a bit annoyed that she doesn't know it better than that, but it's my song, not hers. What's your real name, then? Was your mum not pissed off that you changed it? She turns away, waving a hand to attract the waitress. Violet is my real name, I say. Both of our pints are empty now. Do you fancy some food yet? She shakes her head. 2 more, she says to the waitress, and let's have a couple of sambucas too. As we're waiting for the drinks, a short man wearing a pale blue cap and beige slacks comes in from outside handing out flyers. He slides one onto our table. Tour tomorrow, girls. Good price. Tour to where? Carrie says. She peers at the leaflet. Into the Gobi. Authentic Mongolian experience. Stay 2 nights, see wild horses. Let's do it. She takes a wad of Genghis notes out of her bag and grins at me. Don't look so shocked, V. Live a little, eh? She turns back to the man, who looks slightly stunned that he hasn't had to try very hard at all. Where do we get the bus? Guide will pick you up where you stay. Sunrise Guest House. The man nods, satisfied, then moves on to the next table. The lads at the bar wave him away. One of them slaps his back and says something I don't catch. The waitress returns with our drinks, and Carrie hands me a shot glass, raises hers. To adventures in the desert, she says, knocking the drink back in one. Slancha. 3 more pints and 3 more sambucas, and the lads from the bar are in the booth beside us. They brought a large jug full of something lurid pink, and the waitress has brought 4 small glasses on a tray. No one has had any cheeseburgers. I'm Rory, says the first lad, the one who tried to get our attention at the start. And this boring fucker is Martin. Martin is on my side of the booth, a respectful couple of fists distance away from me. Rory is on the other side with Carrie squeezed up against her. She doesn't seem too bothered, but she's not paying him any attention. She's looking over the jug at me, and I'm trying to read her, but I can't. We're both too pissed. I'm not sure we should drink this. I have to say the words carefully to avoid slurring. Come on, lady, he's got it made specially for you, Rory says. He fills 2 of the glasses and slides them across to me and Carrie. "Why aren't you drinking it?" I ask. "Have you put something in it?"
"Rory,"
Martin says, warning in his voice. "Don't be daft," Rory says. "We're just sticking to the beer.
"We got this for you two. Just wanted to say hi."
Carrie picks up the glass and sniffs it, wrinkling her nose. She takes a sip. "It's not bad, actually." I take a sip. It tastes of Wham bars, those sweet, pink, fizzy chews we used to eat as kids. I knock it back.
"That's the spirit,"
Rory says. He winks across at Martin. I'm not sure what they're up to, but I know I don't like it. "Carrie." Her head is lolling a bit, but it snaps up when she hears her name. I give her a hard stare, hoping I'm getting the message across. She gives me a half smile and lifts her hand in a placating gesture. Rory is smirking now, but Martin looks annoyed. Carrie seems to slide back into coherence for a moment, glancing at me, then at both men. Then she pulls herself up straighter and shuffles along the booth seat towards the wall so that Rory is no longer touching her. She slides the jug and the glasses along the table towards the end, and I feel Martin bristle beside me. Rory is still smirking, still thinks he's got the upper hand, but he hasn't. Carrie leans across the table. She puts one hand on top of mine on the table, puts her other hand on my cheek, then leans in and kisses me softly on the lips. It's only a moment, but it feels like it is going to go on forever. I open my mouth slightly, press against her. She tastes of aniseed and salt. Martin makes a small noise. Rory swears under his breath. Carrie pulls away, but her hand is still on mine. She speaks to them without addressing them, without taking her eyes off me at all. She smiles.
"You know what, lads? I think the 2 of yous need to get to fuck right about now."
Chapter 10. Our guide, Sanai, turns up at the guest house to collect us. She is early 20s, fresh-faced and smiley. "Good morning, ladies," she says in an accent that has been learned from MTV. "Are you excited about the trip?" Carrie and I are at the kitchen table eating toast and jam. It's the worst hangover cure of all, but stupidly, we ate all the supplies we got yesterday in the shopping centre last night when we rolled in. Geriel, our pissed-off landlady, says something to Sanai and she looks over at us and hides a giggle behind her hand. Geriel woke us at 6:30 a.m. and clearly hadn't expected us to still be drunk. The other guests had been up already awaiting breakfast, and there is still a hint of what might have been fried eggs in the air taunting us. Toast and jam it is, then. No doubt we'll get some decent food on the trip.
"How far is it to the camp?"
Carrie says with a mouthful of toast. "Oh," says Sanai. Smiley, happy Sanai. "About 4 hours, hopefully. It's such a fantastic journey. We'll stop off once on the way to see the wild horses, and we'll be at the camp before dark. We're going to have such fun." The front door slams shut and we hear voices in the hall. 2 men appear in the kitchen carrying rucksacks and grinning. One is broad and blonde, the other wiry and bald. They look vaguely familiar, but I can't place them.
"Oh, yeah? What are the chances?" the blonde says. "Knew you ladies wouldn't be able to keep away."
I hear Carrie murmur a fuck under her breath. Sanai and Geriel are looking at us all expectantly.
Did you already meet? Gariel says. The boys arrived after you last night, then went out for some food.
Food and a few drinks, yep,
says the bald one. He winks at me.
Morning,
he says.
All set for the trip?
These are the jokers who gave us that shady cocktail, V, Carrie says. That pink stuff. I remember now. The night coming back in small, uneven pieces. I put them together like a mosaic. The Irish bar, them sliding into the booth next to us.
Shame we didn't get a chance to talk to you properly last night,
the blonde one says, winking. Rory. I remember his name is Rory. The bald one is Martin. He has the grace to look sheepish. I remember him being reluctant last night, too. Either he didn't fancy me, or he just wasn't a presumptuous pig like his mate. I remember the pink cocktail, and a wave of nausea washes over me. We got rid of them, but we drank the stuff anyway. I glance across at Carrie, but she won't meet my eye. She's remembering the kiss. Does she regret it? It might have been a diversion tactic on her part, but it was something else for me. We'd stumbled out of that bar, then ended up in a tacky British pub with a perilous open manhole outside and an old Mini parked next to the front door. Carrie had tried to climb in, and the barman had come out and shouted at us. Rory and Martin didn't follow us there. Clearly too sensible to get wasted the night before a 4-hour trip across the desert. Shit. Clearly, they had this all planned. Did they want us to suffer just so they could laugh? I wouldn't have put it past them. Rory, at least, seems the type to take the piss like this. Sanai grins and claps her hands like an excited child. Oh, it's great you already know each other. Come on, Erden has parked around the corner. Grab your stuff and let's get going. Gariel mutters something under her breath as we leave, but neither of us has the energy to get bothered about it. For some reason, both Carrie and I had expected a coach. But our vehicle for this trip turns out to be a 40-year-old Land Rover Defender, the type you see in war movies. It's filthy, the seats need respringing, and after a very short period of time it's clear that there is minimal suspension. Our driver, Erden, is the man with the blue cap from the bar.
I take it you had this booked before we did, Carrie says to Martin as we bump along the potholed roads. We did. And we'd heard from a couple that we met in the shared taxi from the station that it was a bit full on. It was Rory's idea to get you drunk.
Rory snorts, but Carrie ignores him.
We were doing pretty well at that ourselves, to be fair. Anyway, no harm done.
She balls up her sweatshirt and rests it against the window, followed by her head. She closes her eyes and smiles.
Don't worry, we'll get you back.
Good luck sleeping like that, Rory pipes up. He smirks at me and turns back to face the front. I watch Carrie as she tries to sleep, wondering if she's really going to manage it or if she's just closing her eyes to avoid talking to the others. Past the city limits and the rows of tumble-down houses, we're back in the landscape we saw from the train. I gaze out of the dusty windows, and the track seems to wind on forever. The landscape is pretty dull so far, that same sandy, hard-packed mud, sparse crops of bleached grass, a few piles of rocks here and there. Nothing spectacular. I pull the guidebook out of my bag and start flicking through.
So, where have you come from?
Martin says, swivelling around to face me. Part of me wants to deal with my hangover in peace, but I realise very quickly that reading is not going to be an option with the constant bumping over the rough track. I put the book on the seat and give him my full attention. Who knows, he and his friend might be of some use to us out here. So far, Sarnai and Erden have not done much in the way of guiding, instead chatting to each other up front in their own language and leaving us be. The chat is punctuated by Sarnai's occasional giggles and the attempted tuning of the radio every few minutes. Rory has copied Carrie and is leaning against the window, his head protected by his rolled-up fleece. Beijing, this is our first stop.
Ah, Martin says. Explains why you arrived in the morning. We're going the other way. We've been at Lake Baikal for a few days. Incredible place. Deepest lake in the world, you know. Pity you didn't swim to the bottom, Carrie quips, her eyes still closed, but a smirk now on her face. Funny. Are you going there, after here? Martin continues, directing the conversation back at me. You should. Seriously, it's beautiful. We hiked, swam, did some weird Buddhist stuff that I thought I was going to hate but actually was so chilled out. He reaches into his bag and takes out a bottle of water. Want some? You look a bit pale. Grateful for his hospitality and deciding that they probably aren't as bad as I had them pegged. Well, not Martin, at least. I take the bottle and a long, soothing sip. Why didn't we bring anything with us? Oh yes, because we drank it all last night. 2 bottles of wine on top of the beer, shots and cocktails. I woke up with crushed crisps all over me in bed. The empty 1.5-litre bottle of Coke on the floor. I don't know if it was me or Carrie who drank it, but I know I'd kill for some right now. Thanks. And wow, I manage, fueled by the water. The lake sounds amazing. I don't bother to mention that I can't swim. We're not going anyway. We're not going to the lake, Carrie mutters. Martin gives me a what can you do look, and I smile back. Maybe I can persuade Carrie to change our itinerary. I'll work on her later. So, what was the Buddhist thing like? Hey, if you like to observe the different religions, you will love the camp. Sarnai chirps in from the front. She swivels around in her seat and grins at us. There is a traditional festival happening tomorrow. There will be a shamanic ceremony later on. It's lots of fun. What's shamanism then? Rory says, sitting up. Isn't that the thing with druids? Sarnai giggles. Mongolian shamanism is a wonderful folk religion. It shares lots of elements with Buddhism, too. We call it yellow shamanism because of the links with the Buddhist colors. There is also black shamanism, but that's not what you will see here. The black stuff sounds a lot more sexy, Carrie says. She's sitting up now, too. All 4 of us are rapt now that Sarnai is actually saying something interesting. Sarnai giggles. It's just an older form. Different. But really, the roots are the same. In shamanism, we worship the ancient deities and nature. Tangar is the main god. He embodies Genghis. Is that like Genghis? Rory asks. You Westerners mainly call him Genghis, but in Mongolian, it is Genghis. Is he literally the only famous Mongolian? Carrie says. He's on all the banknotes. Most countries like to mix things up a little. A queen, a king, some inventor, whatever. Erden says something to Sarnai and she laughs. Genghis is our king, our god, and everything in between. You will love the ceremony. Trust me. She winks. Oh, and Erden says you should buckle up now. We've been so busy listening that we've stopped paying attention to the landscape, but when we look out, we see that it has changed dramatically. Dotted around are bursts of lumpen moon rocks. In the distance, huge craggy mountains, the road undulating towards them before disappearing on the horizon. It's like the set of a Mad Max film. It probably is the set of a Mad Max film. Wow! Rory says. And
And just as we've got used to the gentle, constant bumping of the truck on the uneven track, Erden swerves off it completely and onto the plain. The truck lurches to the side, and I feel the nausea from earlier threatening a reappearance. It wasn't obvious until we were on it, but the hard-packed, sandy mud is like a never-ending surface of molehills. I think about skiing and trying to traverse the moguls on the black slopes, getting it wrong and feeling like you're about to veer off the edge of the world. Erden is not trying very hard to traverse, and the truck bounces hard, over and over. We hastily clip our seatbelts on and use our hands to stop us from banging our heads on the roof, the windows, on each other. I look at Carrie, and she has gone green. "Sanai," I call out, the clattering and bumping making it hard to be heard now. "Can we stop soon?" I have no idea how long we've been in the truck or how long it is until the planned stop at the Wild Horses, but I know that if we don't stop soon, one of us is going to throw up. And the way that the truck is jumping, no one is going to be safe from it. I've done many things in my life that I'm not proud of, but I am not keen on puking over another 3 passengers. But judging by Carrie's face, she may beat me to it. Sanai holds on to the back of her seat and spins around. "Almost there!" I grab hold of Carrie's hand, squeezing it tight. "Breathe," I whisper. She squeezes back. 2. Carrie82@hotmail.com. From lauralee@gmail.com. Subject: re. Got a new pal, you're dumped. Why are you not replying? I miss you. Are you still in UB? Is there no internet there? Have you found a Mongolian barbecue yet? The Halloween film was shit, in case you were wondering. L. Kiss. P.S. Hope your new pal hasn't killed you and that's why you can't reply. Ha ha! 2. Carrie82@hotmail.com. From Sarah and Doug Osborne at btinternet.co.uk. Subject: checking in. Hello, darling. Hope all is well and you're having a great time, wherever you are right now. Dad says he thinks you'll be on the train at the moment and probably have no reception, and I expect he's right. Let us know you're okay when you can. You're probably having too much fun to be thinking about us. I popped round to see Laura and she's recovering well, but she's a bit bored and obviously still so upset about missing the trip. She said she saw Greg, too. Still not sure what happened between you two. You seemed happy. I'm not trying to pry, just wondered what happened. Your dad says I have to stop being so bloody nosy. Rosie got a new job. Don't know if she told you. So proud of you girls and the things you're doing in your lives. Much more exciting than me and your dad, but we're happy with our lot. Although your dad is still trying to get me to go on a cruise for Christmas, but I've told him I don't want to leave you girls. Lots of love, Mum and Dad. Kiss, kiss, kiss. 2. Carrie82@hotmail.com. From rosieposy1985@gmail.com. Subject: news. Kaz, don't know where you are. You're just as shit at keeping in touch as always. Winking smiley face. Got a new job. Basically same job, but another company, better money, hopefully no knobheads. Mum probably told you already. R. Kiss. P.S. Can I borrow your green cocktail dress? Marcus has been invited to some swanky awards thing and I can't find anything I like in Monsoon. Say yes, please. Mum will give me the key. Chapter 11. After another half an hour of the old truck battering across the lumpy ground, the nausea has miraculously passed. It has come to a point where we've got used to the vibrations, the jumping around, and it's become normal. I suppose it's like gaining your sea legs on a long voyage on a ship. I'm slightly concerned about how we'll feel when the vehicle stops moving, but we'll deal with that soon enough. Thankfully, we're brought back to normal terrain in stages, with the bumps lessening, and then, like a mirage in front of us, a dusty track and a couple of large yurts at the foot of a sparsely grassed mountain. "Here we are!" Sanai claps her hands excitedly, then unclips her belt as Erden pulls into a low-walled area that seems to be a car park.
"Where's here?"
Rory asks. He yawns, stretches his arms above his head.
"Is this the camp?"
No.
Sanai giggles.
We're in the Hustai National Park. This is the home of the Taki, the beautiful wild horses that were brought back from near extinction. We will stop for a short while here, and you can see the horses, and you can learn about their history.
And can we have something to drink? Coke or something, maybe? I ask, furious again that we've been stupid enough to come without anything. Apart from a few sips of Martin's water, we've had nothing for hours, and I'm starting to get the clamping head pain of a blood sugar dip. I need something sugary before I pass out. Carrie looks over at me and gives me a slightly pained smile, and I can tell she's feeling exactly the same.
Of course. We'll be having a lovely dinner with the nomadic family right after this, but of course we can have a drink now. I think there will be some water and some tea over at the visitor center.
Carrie groans.
"Might have something for you in my bag, ladies, if you play your cards right."
Rory winks and picks up his backpack before jumping off the bus. Martin shrugs and follows him.
"We're such idiots,"
Carrie says, as we follow them off the bus and up the dirt track towards the biggest yurt, which is apparently serving as the visitor centre. I'm never drinking again. I mean it. At this point.
So, you might be wondering a bit about the nomadic family we will be staying with, right?
Sanai says, as the truck bumps across the step again.
The buildings are similar to the ones you just saw, and I am sure you think you know these buildings to be called yurts. But actually, these ones in Mongolia are called girs.
She pauses, grinning at us. She obviously enjoys this story.
Basically, these are exactly the same thing, she giggles. In Turkish, the word yurt means dormitory, and in Russian, the word is yurta, but in Mongolian, the word is gir, and it just means home. This is the home for the nomadic families who will set up camp and live there for many months until...
She's saying something about a circular wooden frame and a felt cover made from sheep's wool, but I have mostly zoned out. As long as the beds are comfortable, I don't really care too much. I'm knackered. I glance over at Carrie. She is using her sweatshirt as a pillow again, and she appears to be sound asleep.
"So, are the nomadic tribes shamanic?" Martin asks.
Of course,
Sanai says.
But I will let them tell you all about it. They are a peaceful people who tend to their livestock and live with nature. They are wonderful hosts, and they will be happy to answer all of your questions. If there are things that they don't understand, I will also translate for you.
She turns back to the front.
Oh, we are nearly there.
I look out of the grubby window, trying to get a better view. In the near distance, I can see a cluster of gears, plumes of smoke snaking up through their chimney holes.
"Thank God," Carrie says. "I'm not sure my arse can take any more of this bloody banger. Maybe I can knit myself a cushion for the journey back."
Erden stops the truck on the perimeter of the camp, and we all bundle out. I'm not sure what I expected, but it's small, and there don't seem to be any facilities other than the 3 gears. A little further away, there is a wooden structure standing on its own, and I have a horrible feeling that it is the toilet. Hang on, Carrie says, dropping her bag on the packed mud floor. Is this it? Where are the showers?
Oh, sorry. No showers, Sanai says. But we can boil some water. Only 2 nights, so no big deal, right? Did you not read all the information on the leaflet when you booked? This is real traditional camp, not like the tourist camps. Those are bigger, more expensive. They have showers, but not the true experience like here.
Carrie sniffs. I suppose the toilet is a massive hole behind those wooden doors.
That's right, Sanai says. You've seen one before?
Only in horror movies, Rory quips. I'm pretty sure the leaflet didn't explain any of this, and I did read it before I booked.
We're here now, Sanai says, still grinning. Will be a great experience. Live with nature, okay? It's only a couple of nights. You'll soon be loving it, and you won't want to go back to UB. You know what? Just wait until you see inside your gear. You will just scream.
She leaves us while she goes off to get the woman from the camp to tell her we've arrived. Carrie drops onto the floor with a sigh. I have died and gone to hell. Rory sits down beside her. Not a nature lover, then. I'm absolutely fine with nature. I'm all over nature. Nature's fucking amazing. I just like a few more home comforts when I'm feeling delicate. After that journey, I'm pretty sure every bone in my body has been displaced, not to mention all the brain cells that have been rattled clean out of my skull. She lies back on the ground and Rory laughs. What about you, Violet? Martin doesn't carry the same mocking tone as Rory, so I don't feel like punching him right this minute. Unlike Rory, who I'm tempted to kick in the shins as he sits beside Carrie, gently prodding her ribs, while she slaps him and tells him what she's going to do with his finger if he touches her again. I think we'll be okay, I say, hoping I can use positive affirmations to make it true. I think Martin is going to say something else, but then Sanai comes back and she's followed by a wide-hipped woman in a dusky red dress. She looks to be in her 50s, with shiny black hair tied back in a long, low braid, and an open, smiley face. They're all very smiley, these people, and I feel myself responding in kind.
This is Chinua, and she is going to look after you here. Tonight you must relax and have the wonderful food and drinks. And then tomorrow morning we will go off on a horseback trail and camel ride, and then spend some time at the festival. Make sure you have your cameras ready for the beautiful pictures.
Carrie is leaning on one elbow now. She's wriggled away from Rory and his poking finger. Is there somewhere to charge our phones? She asks.
Oh!
Sanai turns to Chinua and they talk in Mongolian for a moment. I'm pretty sure I know what the answer will be.
There are some chargers you can use, but not for too long, as Chinua's husband must take these in the morning to be recharged at the center 10 kilometers away.
So there's literally no electricity? Carrie says. Chinua grins. Come inside, please. We will have milky tea. We follow her into the gear. The door has been tied back with twine, and inside is a blast of colour and texture that is so at odds with the bleak landscape outside that it makes me feel dizzy. 5 narrow beds are positioned in a horseshoe shape, each covered with a colourful quilt. In the centre of the room, a large hearth, and up above the hole that serves as the chimney with smoke swirling and billowing up and outside. There are a couple of narrow bookshelves behind the beds and near the roaring hearth, a low table and some colourful fringed floor pillows all set on top of a bright yellow patterned rug. On the hearth, a huge pot is bubbling away. And next to that, a huge, deep frying pan where Chinua is dropping small pieces of dough. "Donuts! Excellent!" Carrie says. She turns to me and whispers, "Might not be so bad after all."
"You can choose your beds,"
Sanai says.
"I'll take whichever one is left."
Rory races over to the one further back. He tosses his bag on the floor, then leaps onto the bed just as Sanai raises a hand and starts to shout a warning. "Ow!
Shit!"
He lands with a thud and immediately starts pulling the covers out from underneath. "What's this made of? Cement?"
"It's a hardwood with a thick woven mattress,"
Sanai explains.
"I was about to tell you. Not very bouncy like usual beds, but I promise you will be comfortable and warm."
Rory makes a sound and rubs his back as if he's been dropped from a height onto a hard floor.
"Thanks for testing that out for us,"
Carrie says, laughing. We all choose which of the remaining beds we'd like, and Sanai explains everything to us while Chinua serves up mugs of steaming white liquid, dropping a couple of pieces of the fried dough into them. Chinua hands them out to us with a smile and a small bow, and we all make ooh and oh noises of excitement over this new exotic drink. I have the mug to my lips when Sanai tells us that it is boiled ewe's milk, and that the incredible-smelling donuts are salty rather than sweet. The smell hits, and I just know that I'm not going to be able to get this drink past my lips. "Chin chin," Rory says, putting on an over-the-top posh accent. Carrie takes out one of the donuts and sniffs at it like a dog smelling something nasty it's found on the pavement. She takes a small bite and pulls her face. Interesting, she says. She dips her finger into the tea and sucks her finger, then she turns away and I hear her retch. Martin is holding his donuts like they're biscuits and sipping contentedly at the tea. Rory has finished his and asking for a top-up.
"You might find it's an acquired taste,"
Sanai says. She giggles again, and I have the urge to throw one of the donuts at her head. "Maybe just a glass of water?" I say, putting the cup down at my feet. I glance over at Carrie, and she rolls her eyes at me and mouths, "What the fuck?" Through the open door, I can see the light starting to change, from a pale blue to a dim orange, and I'm wondering how soon we can go to bed. Tomorrow will be fine, we just need some sleep. As if reading my mind, Sanai picks up a bag of carrots from the floor and starts peeling.
"Not long until dinner."
"What are we having?" Rory says. He's taken his shoes off and is lying down on his bed. Martin is looking at the ornaments and books on the small display case by the doorway. Carrie is sitting cross-legged on one of the cushions, rocking back and forth gently. A familiar smell fills the air from the second pot that is now on the hearth in place of the donut pan. I try not to breathe it in, but it catches in my throat. I should have guessed. The nomads are pastoralists. They tend sheep. The tea is made from ewe's milk. The gears are covered with felt, and the bed's made of a tight woven wool. I have to try very hard not to gag, and realise it might be too late to pretend to be a vegetarian.
"Mutton stew,"
Sanai says.
"The nomadic speciality."
Chapter 12. I wake up to the sound of a cockerel crowing, and I can see through the chimney hole that it is barely light. It had taken a while to get to sleep, with my stomach rumbling most of the night, and then having to make a trip out to the toilet shed in the pitch dark, I will confess that I didn't even go in it. I was terrified I would fall down the hole. So I went for a pee somewhere far enough from the gear, but not so far that I would get lost out there. The eerie silence and the sense of being watched were enough to stop me from sleeping another wink. Xinhua is crouched by the stove, presumably boiling more of that awful milk for us, and I feel simultaneously ungrateful and pissed off that I am here. But I am here, so I intend to make the most of it somehow. Rory and Carrie have pulled the hoods of their sweatshirts up and over their faces in an attempt to stay asleep, but I can see that Sanai's bed is already neatly made and she is nowhere to be seen. Martin is leaning on one elbow, reading a book by the light of a small torch attached to his head. If I'd realised he had that, I would have asked to borrow it for my middle-of-the-night bathroom break. I sit up and try to stretch some life into myself.
End of CD 2. CD 3.
What are you reading? I say as quietly as I can. Lonely Planet, he stage whispers back. Why are we whispering? I smile at him and pull myself out of bed. I am still fully clothed. I think we all decided that undressing wasn't really an option under the circumstances. He sits up too and mimes walking with his fingers. I nod. Here you go, Xinhua says, seeing that the two of us are awake. She offers us mugs of milky tea, 2 small doughnuts in each. I'm about to protest, but Martin shakes his head. We take the drinks, pull back the felt doorway, and creep outside. Here, Martin says, as soon as we are away from the gear. He takes a small bottle out of his pocket and pours a couple of drops into my tea, then his. He spots my questioning look. Vanilla essence. Read about it when I was back home researching the trip. Something on a forum. Vanilla essence for the tea and soy sauce sachets for the mutton stew. Both strong enough to block out the flavours. Unless you like things that taste of sheep, of course. Oh, and a sprinkle of sugar on the borscht dog doesn't do them any harm. He hands me a sachet of sugar. Purloined from Mackie D's in Moscow. I sniff the tea, then take a tentative sip, avoiding one of the chunks of floating dough. Borscht dog? Is that what they're called? My God, you are a genius. Why didn't you tell us about this last night? He shrugs and takes out one of his dough balls, biting into it. Didn't want to offend them. Have you any idea how starving I was? I'm surprised you slept with the sounds my stomach was making. Earplugs. I roll my eyes. Of course you've got earplugs, and a head torch, and flavoured disguises. No doubt you have water purification tablets and mosquito coils too. What can I say? I was a good Boy Scout. I watch him drinking his tea, and wonder if I might fancy him a bit. I don't. Not yet. He is much too wholesome. Maybe that's where I've been going wrong. Sam was the opposite of wholesome. I want to check what he's up to right now, but I think it's better to try and conserve my battery. Besides, there's hardly likely to be a signal here. The air still has an early morning chill to it, and the sky is pale orange, leaking into lilac. The sun is rising slowly behind the mountain in front of the camp, and we walk a bit, trying to keep warm. You sounded interested in the Buddhist thing, Martin says eventually. I recommend it, actually. I'm thinking about trying to go to a meditation retreat in China. That's what I was looking up in the book earlier. Rory wants to continue with the plan, Beijing, Xi'an, Shanghai, then fly to Australia. I'm thinking a bit longer in China. I've been to Australia before. It's great, but I feel like I need something a bit more spiritual. He pauses, looks me in the eye. Does that sound like utter wank? I laugh. Whatever floats your boat. I've been looking on some forums, thinking about what I can do when I get back home. I don't want this to just be one of those trips where you do stuff, then you go home and everything just goes back to the same old shit. I really feel like this is a chance to change my life. I work in IT, for fuck's sake. I've been contracting for years. I've no mortgage. I can work anywhere, do what I like, but I just feel like something is missing. Deep, I say, draining the dregs of my tea. It's not at all bad with the vanilla in it, and the sugar hit has given me the boost I needed. Sorry, I didn't mean that to sound patronising. It's just... Well, I've had these conversations with so many people. Ultimately, everyone you meet while travelling is the same. They're all trying to escape something, all looking for answers to some unknown question. I get it. You're a cynic. He looks down at my skirt. You look... I don't know. I thought maybe you were a bit alternative. Oh, I am, but not in the way you mean. See, you just disproved your own point there. Not everyone you meet when travelling is the same. Touché, I say. Shall we head back? We've walked quite far, engrossed in our conversation. The doors of the gears are all tied back now. Chinoa is outside ours, shaking out a carpet. There's this place in Cambridgeshire, Rosalind House. It's a commune set in an old asylum. They're very selective about who they allow to live there. Only a small number of people, and the guy who runs it was brought up in various communes, so he knows his stuff. Knit-your-own yoghurt types, is it? Or devil worshippers? Aren't those the two main types of commune? You can mock all you like. Just wait until you go back home to your shit job and your normal boring life, then you'll wish you'd listened to me. Who says I'm going back home? He opens his mouth to say more, but is interrupted by Rory running out of the gear at full pelt, a pained expression on his face, clutching a toilet roll. He throws himself at the door of the toilet hut, almost yanking it off its hinges. Oh dear, Martin says to his retreating back. Did someone forget they were lactose intolerant? He turns back to me. To be honest, I thought he was making it up. Surprised you haven't got any lactase tablets for him in your bag of tricks. He shrugs. Maybe I'm not such a good Boy Scout after all. After a decent breakfast of dark bread rolls and blackcurrant jam and more milky tea, which I am actually growing to like now with the vanilla enhancement, we are introduced to Batu and Gan, who are going to take us on a horseback tour around the mountain. I haven't ridden a horse since I was 11 and had begged my parents to let me try it out at the stables near our house. They refused, but my friend had convinced her mum to let me go with her instead. My parents had handed over the money without any fuss. They weren't short of cash. They lived off the inheritance that my grandparents left and were abundant in indifference, a trait that I used to my advantage many times in later years. Anyway, half of the time at the stables was spent learning to groom and muck out, and I realised then that I was never going to be a horse person. When I did finally get to ride, I found it uncomfortable and vaguely terrifying, and I never asked to be taken again. Oh, I love horses, Carrie says, surprising me. What breed are they? She chatters away to the guides as they take us around to the far side of their gear, where the horses are roaming around, seemingly oblivious to us. They are Mongol horses. Batu says. They have been here for many, many years, since times of Chinggis, our great leader. These horses helped to build our empire. You know, there are 3 million of these animals, more than the humans here in Mongolia.
The horses are more like ponies, short and stocky with long manes and tails. They don't look like they can carry our weight. Batu sees our expressions and nudges Gan, and they both laugh. No doubt they are used to this reaction.
Very strong,
Gan says. He throws a blanket over the horse nearest to him, and it nods its head as if in agreement. Then he places a very small, multicoloured saddle on top. The seat, I think it's called the pommel from vague memories of that day at the stables, seems very high, and the stirrups are very short. Gan pats the horse on the hind and gestures at me to mount it. Why the hell he has chosen me to go first, I have no idea. Perhaps he can sense my reluctance. Do you have any with longer stirrups? I ask. I'm not sure I'll be able to get my feet in unless my knees are at my ears. Batu and Gan laugh.
All same,
Batu says. Gan has dressed a second horse and is gesturing to Carrie, who shrugs and sticks her foot in a stirrup. Gan shoves her up and over, and she manages to land correctly on the saddle. Her knees are bent at almost 90 degrees.
You can stand if better, Gan says.
This is so cool, Carrie says. It's like a racehorse. I can guide with my knees, right?
Of course,
Gan says. He demonstrates how to use the reins to stop and start the horse and regulate the speed.
And knees,
he says, patting her knees. He slaps the horse gently on the hind again, and it takes off at a gentle trot. Eventually, we are all on the horses, and the guides head off to the front. I am not at all comfortable on the saddle. It is so high and tight, and I don't like the way my horse keeps stopping to chew on the grass, forcing me to keep yanking on its reins and squeezing it with my knees to get it going again. I'm pretty sure it's taking the piss. I try to keep up, but the guides have to keep circling back to check on me while Carrie leads the pack like a seasoned pro, with Rory bounding after her. We're only halfway round the mountain when my stupid horse decides to eat more grass, dipping its head and neck so low that I feel myself sliding off. I end up tangled in the stirrups and on the verge of tears.
Maybe we should swap,
Martin suggests, seeing my distress. Batu agrees and helps us swap over.
Be firm,
he says to me. He rides with me side by side until he is sure that I am okay. Then he canters off to the front. As soon as he's gone, my horse slows and does exactly what the other one did, this time causing me to tumble over its bent neck and land on the hard ground.
Oops!
Rory calls, turning round at my cry of frustration. I'm not hurt, other than my pride, but I do not want to continue riding these ridiculous horses. I take the reins and start walking it, pulling a little harder than necessary. The others aren't going particularly fast anyway, and when they see that I am walking, they slow further. Carrie appears beside me, a look of pity on her face. Poor V, she says. Not having fun? You carry on, I snap. She says something to the horse and then slaps it and takes off at as much of a gallop as the short, stocky legs can manage. I think back to my attempts at the stables and my mum's unsurprised face when I'd told her what had happened. How difficult I'd found it.
We can't all be good at everything, dear, she'd said, barely lifting her head from the Jane Austen she was pretending to read. Maybe try something a little less taxing for your next hobby. I'd hated her then. For her lack of care, her lack of encouragement. But it was always the same, no matter what I did. I tried playing the cello, tap dancing, ice skating, athletics, gymnastics, embroidery. You name it, I tried it, but nothing was good enough to interest either of my parents, who spent their own time hosting lavish dinners for people they didn't like, trying their hardest to fit into a world that didn't interest them at all. I would have jumped off a cliff if I'd thought it would provoke some sort of reaction. "Come on, Violet!" Martin calls, and I snap out of my daydream. Up ahead, I can see multicoloured tents, hear the sounds of car engines, shouted instructions. Children are running around, while hundreds of men and women in nomadic dress are attempting to set up what looks like some kind of fair. Of course, the festival. Son, I mentioned this on the way here. We just need to get these horses back to base and then we can relax here. Maybe even have some decent food. And drink. I really hope this isn't a dry affair. Batu circles back to me again. "Jump back on horse now. We go to camp. Then later on we come back to festival. Lots of food, wine. Have fun, yes?" "Yes," I say, climbing back onto the horse. This time I slap it hard, just as I saw Carrie do, and it takes off. And soon I am in line with the others. I glance over at Carrie and she is grinning, her hair blowing in the wind. She turns to face me, gives me 2 thumbs up, yells, "Well done, V!" before giving her horse another little tap and galloping off ahead back towards our camp. She is so effortless, so graceful, so fearless. I realise my mistake now. Realise that sometimes you just need a little encouragement. And then you can get exactly what you want. 2. lauralee@gmail.com. Draft. From carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject: Random Nomadic Camp. Hiya. Writing this to you from my bed in the gear, like a yurt, but it's Mongolian, because even though I really, really want to sleep, I can't. Totally minging sheep's milk tea and nothing but boiled mutton to eat, I am Hank. I think my rumbling stomach is going to keep everyone away. We're here with 2 lads we met in the pub. No, neither of them, before you ask, but one of them definitely wants it. They were clever and researched the trip, so they have had a day sans hangover, while me and V are absolutely hanging and don't even have 1 can of Coke between us. Saw wild horses, which was pretty cool, and tomorrow we're going to be riding horses and camels and going to a shamanic festival ceremony thing. I know, WTF? C. Kiss. P.S. Miss you. P.P.S. Don't know when you'll get this. No internet. 2. lauralee@gmail.com. Deleted. From carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject: Greg. Still can't sleep. Been thinking about Greg a lot. I'm writing this, but I know I'm never going to send it. But it might help sort things out in my own head. Maybe I'll tell you one day, face to face, I mean. It's not the kind of thing I want to have in writing. Maybe I should, though, because if it's there in black and white, I can't pretend it didn't happen. Fuck! You know when you see those people on telly and they're fuzzed out, voices distorted, all that? talking about stuff that's happened, stuff someone's done to them, or stuff they've done to someone else, and you just think, WTF, and imagine. And you think, that'll never be me, and that would never happen to me, and all of that. And sometimes it just does. And that is the whole point. 2. lauralee@gmail.com. Draft. From Carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject. Random Nomadic Camp. Started writing you an email in the middle of the night, but have deleted it from drafts. Luckily, I couldn't send it anyway, 'cause no internet. It was just me being a fanny. Think I was alcohol poisoned, to be fair. There's a mountain sort of right in front of the camp with this thing on top called an uvu, some kind of shamanic sacrificial altar, basically a pile of stones. Apparently it's a sort of worship thing rather than a place where they disembowel goats, but I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Anyway, we went round it on horses today. I say horses, but they were like miniature ponies and they were bloody uncomfortable. I am walking like John Wayne and not after a shag for once. Starting to get a bit horny, actually. Don't know why. We'll have to seek out some sexy Mongolian goat herders at this festival thing we're going to tonight. Unless, of course, they're planning to slit our throats and dance around us on top of the uvu. FFS, that would be just my luck. Expect a load of messages when the internet is back. Sorry, for caps. C. Kiss. P.S. No, V has not killed me. More like the other way around. She's annoying me a bit. She was telling one of the lads all these bonkers stories today, and I don't know if she's having a laugh or she's lying or if she actually believes the nonsense she's spouting. Also, she is wearing my top, and I swear I never actually gave it to her. I did let her borrow stuff in UB, but this isn't one of the things, and I've got a feeling she's been raking in my bag. But maybe I'm just imagining it. I'm probably just being grumpy, because she is actually a laugh. Chapter 13. There are certain people who you meet in life who you just know have been given to you by the universe. I'm not wildly into all that stuff, so in theory the law of attraction shouldn't work for me. Apparently it only works if you truly, deeply believe, not just if you want to. I want to, and I try to visualize the things I want, but I find it difficult to see them through my own eyes. It's as if I am looking down on myself, at my life, at my interactions with others, that I am not in control of my own destiny. When Carrie smiled at me in the bar... No, when she rolled her eyes in the travel centre, there was an instant bond. For me, at least. I recognised it because it's not the first time it's happened. I think back to the moment that I first saw Sam. He was sitting at the bar, pint in front of him, chatting easily with the barman. I heard snippets of the conversation, something about United's latest signing and the state of the Champions League. I have no interest in football. I can't even bluff it like some girls can, knowing just enough to keep a man interested. Men are stupid when it comes to football. As soon as a girl fires off a useless nugget of information that is even remotely accurate, they hook onto it, and the entire game, the money behind it, the reasons for it all, are meticulously mansplained, making him feel superior, like he has explained a universal truth. while the girl smiles and nods and knows she's achieved her goal, pardon the pun, as a brand new shiny cocktail appears in front of her, and he slides his stool ever so slightly towards hers. I've seen this happen so many times, and I've considered learning a small nugget of my own just to get the reaction. But I found it easier to go with my own plan, which is to feign absolute ignorance of all sports and to look positively bored when the man has floundered for another way to reel me in. I prefer my way. I watch Carrie as she interacts with Rory. They are sitting on cushions outside the gear, smoking, giggling. Martin is leaning back on his cushion, his face pressed into the guidebook again. I'm happy for a bit of quiet time to reflect, to watch. Carrie is fascinating to watch. Sam was fascinating to watch too. I sat at a table in the corner just far enough away so that I could see him, observe his mannerisms, hear snippets of his conversation. I liked his accent. I definitely have a thing for accents, especially on men. He sounded like he was from Essex but trying to hide it. He wasn't going for that over-the-top exaggerated take on the accent that most of the new wave of tedious reality stars are fond of affecting. I was interested in how his accent might change when his environment did, if others like him were to appear. It sounds like I'm watching wildlife, observing baboons in their natural habitat, but really, humans and animals aren't so different at all. I know this. I watch them a lot. Watch, listen, learn. You have to know what you're dealing with before you can try to infiltrate. Sam didn't notice me that night. Why would he? I did my best to blend into the background. I watched as others approached him, men, women, some that he clearly knew, some that he was only just getting to know. He was an interesting creature. I watched him snake a hand around the back of a thin blonde girl in an electric blue shift dress, her spaghetti straps falling off her tanned shoulders. I watched as others gave him admiring glances from afar. The thing about Sam was, he wasn't even my type. Neither is Carrie. I haven't had many close friendships, with men or women. They seem to burn intensely like an oil fire, and then they are doused hard and fast with barely a flutter of ash to remind anyone that they ever existed. I need to do things differently this time. I don't want Carrie to be extinguished too quickly. I need to feed this one more carefully, stoke the coals, add in just the right amount of accelerant to keep things exciting. I lie back on my cushion, arms behind my head, staring up at the sky through the chimney hole. It's a deep, bright blue with perfect puffs of white cloud moving slowly away from us. I think of that song that all the stoners used to play in the 90s, The Orb's Little Fluffy Clouds, with that piece of hypnotic sampling about the skies in Kansas. And I feel myself drifting into a trance. Somewhere in the distance, I can hear the rhythmic sound of drums. The party is starting. Chapter 14. The sun is still high in the sky as we set off across the sparse grass and packed mud towards the festival. I feel strangely excited, a weird fluttering in my chest that could, in other circumstances, signal the start of a panic attack, but in this case, it feels like something big is about to happen, something significant. Or maybe I'm overreacting. I'm tired,
and a bit wired from lack of sleep and food, and there's a painful ache in my muscles from the awful trek with the horses. Carrie has changed into a dress with leggings and her hiking boots. Her hair is pinned up roughly with clips, she says, to hide the greasy roots, but it looks sexy and tousled, and I get a squirming jolt in the pit of my stomach when I see Rory staring at her with undisguised lust. I've changed, too, wearing a pale blue vest that I took out of Carrie's bag before we left UB. She looked at me a bit strangely when I took off my jumper to reveal it, but I smiled back, giving her a "you said I could borrow it" look, and she obviously decided not to question it. I should be a bit more careful, though. I don't want her getting annoyed with me over something so insignificant. Martin appears at my side, matches my pace. "You looking forward to this?" he says. "I am. I've never been to anything like this. I went to a full moon festival in Thailand, but that was just a bunch of drunk stoners stumbling around on the beach. I'm sure it was spiritual once." "I've heard that," he says. I don't know why I said that. I never went to the beach in Thailand at all. But I've seen YouTube clips, and I know from some of the idiots I met in Bangkok that this is exactly what the thing is like. "Apparently you can have a reading from one of the shamans," he says. "I really want to, but I'm also a bit scared. I've never had the guts to go to a fortune teller or a psychic or anything like that. Part of me thinks it's all nonsense, but the other part of me is scared about what they might say." "They aren't going to say anything bad to you," I say. Not that I have any direct experience. All that something terrible is going to happen is only in bad horror films. Besides, didn't you say you were becoming more spiritual since your Buddhist experience? That's not the same, that's a proper religion. I think the nomads think the same about their shamanism, I say. Let's just wait and see, shall we? A giggling behind us makes us both glance around. Carrie has linked arms with Rory, and their heads are tipped closely together. I can't hear what he's saying. I ball my hands into fists, feeling my nails cut into my palms. Is he always such a lech? Martin shrugs. I don't think Carrie is complaining. I frown and ignore him. Then I pick up the pace and march further ahead. Sanai is walking along with a couple of boys I haven't seen before. I don't know if they've come from another camp or if they just turned up for this, but she also doesn't seem to be complaining. Her skills as a guide are quite lacking, and usually it doesn't bother me, but I need something to take my mind off Randy Rory and compliant Carrie. If only I fancied Martin, it would be so much simpler. "Hey!" I shout. "Sanai!" She turns around, her MTV grin already in place. "Oh, hey guys! This is going to be so much fun!" The boys keep walking, and she slows down a bit, waiting for us to catch up. "You've got free time to do as you please here, guys. You can watch the wrestling, the archery. There are lots of fun stalls and great food and drinks." Martin butts in. "I heard we can talk to the shamans, is that right?" Sanai laughs. "Of course! There will be a ceremony later on and we can all join in. And then if you want to have a private meeting, you can arrange this and you can go to one of the gairs. Are you thinking about this? I really recommend it." Martin shrugs. "Maybe." He glances at me, hoping for guidance, and I nod. "Sure, why not?" Carrie breaks away from Rory's side and comes up to me, throwing an arm around my shoulder. "We should do it together, V. Let's see what they have to say about us both." I glance around at Rory, who looks like someone just punctured his football. "That sounds perfect," I say. My cheeks tighten. I can't stop the grin.
Carrie grabs my face and gives me a hard, wet kiss on the cheek, making an exaggerated mwah. Then she skips off ahead towards the stalls and the drums and the smell of smoke, and we all traipse along behind her like the Pied Piper's children, excited and mesmerised and ready to follow her anywhere. The drums get louder as we reach the epicentre of the festival. Red-faced, happy children run through the crowds while the adults watch the entertainment, smoking, drinking, chattering. I feel my chest constrict as we squeeze our way into the crowd. A flutter of panic beats its tiny wings deep in my stomach. Then I feel a hand clasping mine, a gentle squeeze. I turn quickly to see Martin's concerned face.
Let's get a drink.
He leans close to me, and I smell his sweat leaching upwards through the open neck of his shirt. It's not unpleasant. Perhaps it's the rhythmic banging of the drums, the vibrations from the crowd dancing in time to the beat, but I feel a tingle spread through my body as I let him lead me through the throng. He drags me into a small gear where they are serving drinks in wooden cups. The woman behind the trestle table that's been set up as a makeshift bar hands us a cup each and smiles and nods. "Where are the others?" I say.
Never mind that right now. Cheers,
he says, holding his cup aloft. We smash the cups together and knock the drinks back in one.
Jesus, what the hell is that?
I cough, and the swirl of herbs and strong alcohol makes my throat tingle.
Bloody good stuff,
Martin says, grabbing my cup and offering his and mine over the bar for a refill. The woman behind the bar pours in dark brown liquid and says, "Very strong, be careful." Martin laughs.
I reckon we can handle it.
I sip my second drink, but I'm pleased. I hadn't seen this side of Martin before. He's broken out of the serious and let his hair down a bit. The woman comes out from the other side of the bar holding 2 larger cups.
Try these now, longer drink, not so strong.
I take a sniff and it has a yeasty, hoppy smell. Some sort of beer, I expect, which isn't a bad thing after the other stuff. I don't want us to peak too soon. Outside the tent, the sun is still high in the sky, and the drums carry on their steady beat. The crowd is chanting something hypnotic, and the smell of wood smoke and the effects of the alcohol make my head swim. Martin stands close to me, sharing my trance, and I feel the warmth of his skin against mine, and right now, I want the night to last forever.
Hey, there you both are. We've been looking everywhere for you.
Carrie's skin is glowing, her cheeks flushed. Rory has an arm draped around her shoulders, and he's grinning like the cat that got the cream. A rush of pure rage surges through me.
What have you two been up to?
I hiss. Rory smirks.
Wouldn't you like to know?
I couldn't think of anything worse. I push his arm off harder than I realise, and he stumbles back.
Hey,
he starts, but Carrie just laughs.
Wow, V. Miss me, did you?
Rory's face glows red, his eyebrows knitted, but he says nothing. The tingling in my body seems to grow more intense. I throw my arms around Carrie, just managing not to spill my drink down her back. She pulls away, startled at the embrace. Then she looks Martin and me up and down and laughs.
Oh, wait. It's more like, what have you two been up to, eh?
I open my mouth to speak to correct her, but she carries on.
Where did you get the drinks? We have been hunting high and fucking low for a drink.
She squeezes past me and into the tent, Rory following behind like the little pet that he's become. He throws me a dirty look, but I ignore it. I down my beer. It's warm, and it's not very nice, but I just want to get wasted now. Hey. Martin puts a hand on my shoulder and I shrug it off. Then I have a change of heart and spin around to face him, grinning. Let's have some fun tonight, okay? He looks wary of me now. He's seen the way my moods can shift up and down like loose gears in a manual transmission. I don't wait for him to answer. I head straight after Carrie. Carrie and Rory are leaning on the bar, having their second shots of the weird herbal schnapps. The woman serving them gives them the same warning. Oh, don't listen to her, I say, grabbing Carrie's arm. She'll try to give you the beer next, and it's awful. I address the woman directly now. I'll have another of the small ones, please. I sense Martin at my shoulder. And one for him. Woohoo, says Carrie. Violet wants to party? She squeezes me, then nudges Rory, who's looking a bit more excited now that he's had a drink. If Violet wants to party, then we will all party. She grabs a bottle of the schnapps from the bar. How much? The woman looks uncertain. We'll like to give in small cups. Carrie waves the bottle in front of the woman's face. How much? She turns to Rory. Pay the woman! Roster! A few jingoes! Rory starts pulling notes out of his pocket, handing them to the woman. She nods when she's decided it's enough, but we've no idea what we're paying. I've already forgotten the different colours and the exchange rate, but it doesn't matter because it's not my money. I still haven't paid for a thing. And it doesn't matter because Carrie has linked arms with me and we're running out of the tent, the boys following behind. The sun has dipped a little now, and the wide, cloudless sky is turning a shining gold and shimmering shades of peach. The drums are getting faster now, reaching a crescendo, and people are all huddled together in the middle of the festival space. I think the shamanic ceremony is about to begin, Carrie shouts into my ear. The games are over. Now it's time for the real party to begin. Chapter 15. The drums slow down their frenetic beat, and the crowd begins a low, monotone hum. Little fires have been lit in a circle, and something fragrant has been thrown on them with the wood, some kind of incense, heady and intoxicating. We stand transfixed by the show. Out of one of the small gears near where we've been drinking, 3 shamans in full ceremonial dress appear and walk slowly in a line into the circle where they stand together, facing out at the crowd, which has now formed a semicircle around the lower part of the circle of fire. Carrie grabs hold of my hand, and I glance at her, but she's staring straight ahead. I squeeze her hand, and we stay like that while the shamans begin their ritual. By the time it's over, we're both feeling the effects. The boys are forgotten now. The 2 of us are hugging each other, damp-faced from crying. The crowd starts to disperse, heading back for more food, drinks. People stamp on the fires. Bloody hell, Carrie says. That was mental. I pull away from her and give her a small smile. I'm glad I experienced this with you. I don't know if it's too much alcohol or the chanting or what, but I feel like... I don't know. I feel like I'm somewhere else right now. Carrie laughs and takes a swig from the bottle, seemingly snapping back into reality. It was wild. I'm not keen on all that milk throwing, though. She mimes retching, sticking her tongue out and crossing her eyes. She hands me the bottle. We need to get another one of these. Also, she glances around, there's definitely something being smoked here that's not cigarettes. She gestures towards a bank of gears people seem to be flocking towards. Shall we? I finish the bottle of schnapps without even a grimace. It's funny how you can get used to something vile so quickly, especially when it makes you feel like you're floating off the ground. For a moment, I'm concerned about smoking something too. My past experiences with weed haven't been particularly pleasant. I usually throw a whitey and pass out after the first puff, but maybe this stuff will be different. Carrie is still grinning, and I have her all to myself. Let's do it, I say. Oh, and let's do a private reading after it, can we? Not sure about that. Her face darkens. Might be mumbo-jumboing it a bit too far, eh? Let's go and check out the other stuff first. As we walk towards the tents, I think I hear someone calling my name, but I ignore it. We follow a trickle of revellers into the first tent. Inside, fairy lights have been strung around the wooden beams, and there are people sitting on floor cushions in small huddles, some chatting quietly, others staring straight ahead, peaceful expressions on their faces. The tent is filled with smoke, but it gives the space an ethereal, mystical feel, unlike the dense, cloying fog that I'd expected. The aromas are strong, yet delicate, sweet, yet sharp. Whatever they're smoking, it doesn't smell like the weed I've been offered anywhere else, not even in India.
Good evening, ladies.
A good-looking young Mongolian man appears in front of us. I'm not sure where he came from. We haven't even touched the stuff yet, but I feel disorientated. I turn to Carrie, and she looks as bewildered as me. We both gaze at the man, wondering if he is actually there. He laughs, revealing perfect white teeth.
I'm Altan, he says. I can be your guide. You'd like to try some?
He turns, gesturing at the smokers.
It will be nothing like you have ever experienced. You cannot get this anywhere else in the world.
He winks.
I think you'll love it.
We were thinking about having a reading with one of the shaman. This seems to bring Carrie out of her trance, and she giggles before turning to me and mouthing the words to move any mountain. Altan doesn't know what's going on now, but he keeps smiling.
Of course,
he says.
Let's get you prepared.
Prepared? We don't have to, get our kit off or anything. Carrie giggles again, and I find myself doing the same. I think the smoke is affecting us.
Come,
Altan says. He gestures to a space on the other side of the tent where cushions have been arranged, seemingly for us. They are plump, red and yellow velvet, and they look a lot more comfortable than the hard beds we've been forced to sleep on. Altan holds out a hand for us to take to help us sit down. And when we're ready, he tells us to close our eyes and breathe deeply. He chants something slow and soothing. Then he clicks his fingers. We open our eyes, and a small boy is standing in front of us. He can't be more than 8 years old, but he has eyes that make him look like he's seen 100 years. He's offering a small wooden tray.
Go ahead,
Altan says, still grinning. Carrie looks at me and raises her eyebrows. I shrug. Then I take one of the small wooden cups, and she takes hers. The boy mutters something and then nods, and we knock the drinks back in one. It burns like fire down my gullet, and I feel an instant awakening inside my head. This is not the same drink as before. The boy leans forwards with the tray, and we see that there are 2 small wooden pipes lying on it. In the murky darkness, and with the colour of the tray, we hadn't seen them before. We tentatively select a pipe each. They are slim, with a small cup at the end already filled with something that I don't recognise, a dark, crystalline substance that bounces the glow from the fairy lights as I turn the pipe from side to side, inspecting it.
This will help you prepare your truth,
Altan says. He gives us a small bow. I glance around, wondering if everyone in here has had this same treatment, or if they're more casual about it all because they probably do it all the time, but I can't tell. Carrie puts the pipe in her mouth and the boy leans forwards, flicking a silver lighter. The crystal glows red and then dulls to a sparkling amber as Carrie sucks on the pipe, drawing it in. She coughs once, waves a hand in front of her face, and then goes again. She turns to me and exhales soft, purple smoke. Then she blinks, and her eyes turn glassy in the dim light.
Fuck,
she mutters, then sinks down into her cushion. I put my own pipe into my mouth and the boy grins at me as he leans in to light it. He says something to Altan and the 2 of them laugh.
We'll leave you to it,
Altan says. Their figures blur as they walk away. The smells and the sounds in the tent swirl together inside my head, and I feel a deep pulsing in my temples, a thump, 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 like a drum beat. I feel Carrie's hand in mine, soft and warm, and then we both sink further and further until we disappear. 2. lauralee@gmail.com draft. From carrie82@hotmail.com. Subject: Festival.
Oh no, my head is spinning. I feel sick. The battery is nearly dead, but I have to write this down before I forget. The shaman said bad things, Laura. He says there's a dark cloud hanging over us. There's bad energy. I don't know if he meant me or Violet, because then he said he wasn't doing our reading anymore. And then we smoked more of that crystal shit, and I don't even know what it is. It might be crack. Have I smoked crack? My head. And I did something else. Not tonight. I did do something else tonight, but it wasn't a bad thing, just a mad thing, a crazy thing. But I did do a bad thing, but I can't. No, I can't tell you. I just need to sleep now and then it will be okay, won't it? Help me, Laura. I'm scared.
Chapter 16. The voices are coming from far away, mumbled and jumbled and incoherent as if they are underwater, or else I'm in a dream. My body is being shaken, and I feel everything rattle inside me. There's a sharp chemical taste in the back of my throat, and what starts with a cough soon turns into near choking as my eyes fly open and I try to sit up. Jesus Christ! Earth to Violet! Thought you were never going to wake up! The face swims into my vision and I squint. I open my mouth. Martin? My voice is a hoarse croak. I cough again. Wow, your breath stinks. What the hell have you been drinking? I lick my lips and they are dry and cracked.
I try to sit up, but my head protests. Everything goes black and red and spins around and around until I close my eyes and lie back down again. Carrie, I manage. Carrie has managed to throw up whatever it is that you two space cadets took last night. She's outside, waiting. We're all waiting. We need to get back to UB. UB? It takes me a long time to work out where I am and where I am meant to be going. But then I open my eyes again and I recognise the internal walls of the gear. The colourful hangings, the smoke hole at the top. I need a drink. Martin reads my mind. You're in luck. One of Sarnai's friends brought supplies for the next tour group. Apparently we could have had stuff like this too, but it wasn't offered. Anyway, we were more authentic. I can get you some milk tea if you like. He's holding a can of Coke, and he pretends to take it away again just as my hand goes to grab it. He lets me have it, the ring pull already popped, and I drink it greedily. It's freezing cold, and it burns down the rawness of my throat. I feel like I might stop breathing, but at this moment, I don't even care. Oh no, what happened to you two last night? We lost you in the crowd after the ceremony. That was something else, wasn't it? I'm definitely going to pursue the spiritual connections I've made on this trip. I'm quite excited about going home, getting started on my new plans for life. He leans down and rubs my shoulder. I had thought that maybe, yesterday, that me and you... Please stop talking. My head can't cope right now. He sighs, stares out of the open door. I tried to get it out of Carrie, but she reckons she can't remember what you two got up to last night either. Good, I think. I don't want to remember right now. My body aches from head to toe, and what I'd really like is another Coke, a handful of heavy-duty painkillers, and maybe a hot bath. I realise that this combination would likely kill me on its own, never mind whatever it is that is still in my system from last night. I close my eyes again, trying to remember last night, but the last thing that's stored in there is watching the ceremony. Everyone chanting and throwing milk in the air. After that is a yawning chasm of complete blank. It's far from the first time I've had a blackout after drinking and drugs. I am assuming I have taken drugs. Smoked something hardcore because my throat is in ruins and I can smell the stale, cloying scent on my clothes. I know that bit by bit the fragments of lost memory will come back to me, haunting me, shaming me, and I know that some bits will never come back at all. Between me and Carrie, I imagine we'll be able to piece most of it back together, but there's no guarantee. Come on, get packed. We're leaving in 10. Martin puts another can of Coke on the floor beside my bed and disappears back outside. He's pissed off with me, which is fair enough, I suppose. He probably imagined some tantric sex on top of that miniature mountain with the pile of stones on top. If he's pissed off, Rory must be fuming. I sit up slowly and notice that Martin has also left me a packet of painkillers next to my second can of Coke. Even annoyed, he's a good Boy Scout. I feel bad for leading him on, but it had just been one of those things, caught in the moment. There was never a hope that I'd sleep with him. I take a sip and lick again at my chapped lips. They don't just feel dry, but cracked at the edges and a bit swollen and bruised. A memory hits me. Carrie's voice. Close your eyes. Carrie's touch, her fingers on my lips. The sound of the Land Rover starting up knocks the rest of the memory away. It's so close to the surface, I know it'll come back. I pick up my backpack and, ignoring the pounding in the back of my skull, I throw everything inside. There's something stuffed into the side pocket, taking up the space where I usually put my smaller toiletries, so I shove them into the main section instead. I don't bother to see what it is. I can sort the bag out properly later before we get back on the train. They're all waiting for me in the van.
Morning, Violet!
Sanai says.
I think you had a good time at the festival last night.
She giggles, and I manage to give her a small smile. Carrie is wedged up against the window, her head against her rolled-up hoodie. She has her bag beside her on the seat so that no one can sit next to her. She doesn't speak, but a flash of her eyes tells me that she's just as messed up as I am right now. She looks grey and clammy. I imagine I must look the same. "About time," Rory mutters. He's in the same position as Carrie, one seat in front. I ignore him and take the single seat behind Martin, who at least manages a proper smile. "You look a bit better than you did half an hour ago." "I don't feel it." None of us says anything else for a while. The atmosphere is heavy, subdued, and I wonder if Carrie or me did something embarrassing, something that the others know about, but we don't. I have no idea how we got home, so I suspect someone must have helped us, but I don't want to ask any questions. I don't want them to think that I have no idea of what happened in the last few hours. I realise that I don't even have any concept of how long a period of time is missing from my memory. The Land Rover bumps hard across the dusty step roads, and it's all I can do to take small sips of water from the bottle that Martin gave me when I sat down. Rory and Carrie are asleep, which I think is miraculous under the conditions, but sometimes sleep overrides everything. "It's been quite an adventure," Martin says to me at last. "I'm glad we met up with you two. Shame we're going in different directions now." We were always going in different directions, but I don't tell him that. "Any tips for Beijing?" I can see the high-rises of UB on the horizon. We're still trundling across the harsh earth, barely a thing around us except for sparse grass and the outlines of the mountains far away on either side. "Well, it's got a lot more people in it than this place." 9 million bicycles, he says. "At least." "Oh, that's a song, isn't it?" He starts singing, and he's not bad. Shame we didn't get to go to karaoke. "Is the smog as bad as they say?" he asks. "Worse. You think you can see it, but you can't really. It just looks like thick grey skies. But you can feel it, you can taste it. It squeezes your head like a vice. And there's so much noise and colour, and everything is just frenetic?" I nod. "Yes, frenetic. I'll tell you where I went for a bit of quiet time, weirdly. There's a shopping mall under the Hyatt with a food court with loads of brilliant food. It's called the Oriental Plaza. Amazingly, it's not really a tourist kind of place, and you can just eat and chill and no one will bother you in there." "Sounds great." He twists around in his seat to face me. "Anything else?" "There's a great dumpling shop off the Wang Fujing pedestrian street. I think they have about 50 different fillings and it's so cheap. They're completely addictive and I recommend having at least 5 portions." I feel saliva building at the back of my mouth at the thought of this. I wish I'd stayed a little longer now, not got so hung up on getting the train when I did. But I was lonely. It's easy to forget that now with these people that I have formed a strange and intimate bond with.
If I'd stayed, I wouldn't have been in the travel centre that day, and I wouldn't have met Carrie. Carrie is what took my mind off Sam. I wonder what he's doing right now. But I don't even bother looking, as I know my phone is dead. As soon as we get back to the hostel, I'll charge it and have a look. It's only been a couple of days since I checked his feed, but a lot can happen in a couple of days. I rub at my face. It feels itchy, like something is crawling on it. Go to Kianman Kwanjud for Peking duck, too. They present the head on a little plate. It's meant to be a delicacy. I had to keep it covered up with a napkin so I could eat the rest of the thing. Bloody hell, stop talking about food. I could eat a scabby horse. Carrie's voice is as rough as mine feels. You could have eaten that stupid little horse that kept throwing me off. Best thing for it. You two are revolting, Rory says, joining in. You're going to China now, you idiot, I say. You can eat anything there, you probably will. I think I'm becoming a vegetarian, he says. Well, maybe after a final burger in that Irish bar before we leave. What do you reckon, ladies? Want to join? Carrie rolls her eyes at me, then leans back into the window. The only place I'm going tonight is bed. Game on, Rory says, clapping his hands. Carrie pulls her hoodie over her face. Not with you. Ever. Another memory hits me. People clapping. Carrie pulling her dress up over her head, spinning around, unhooking her bra. I close my eyes and lean my head against the window, waiting for more to resurface, trying to bring it closer, trying to push it away. Ulaanbaatar to Irkutsk. Chapter 17. Despite the pounding headache and the bone-weary tiredness, I barely slept a wink back in the guest house. Geriel tried to coax us into the sitting area to chat about our trip, but neither of us had the energy, and I had the feeling that Carrie didn't want to talk to anyone about what had happened. I wasn't sure yet if she remembered more than I did, but I heard her tossing and turning in the night, crying out a couple of times, mumbling things that were incoherent and nonsensical. Luckily, I remembered to charge my phone as soon as we got back, so I spent most of the sleepless night scrolling through Facebook, reading about Sam's exploits. There is definitely a girl on the scene now. A vacuous blonde is with him in several of the photos, her comments beneath full of heart emojis and kisses. I fought the urge to hurl the phone across the room. But then I heard Carrie snuffling in her sleep, and I remembered that Sam was in the past now. I have more important things to think about. More memories of the night at the festival have tried to force themselves to the front of my mind, wanting me to deal with them, but I'm not ready for that yet. We're about to embark on a 90-hour train journey. There will be plenty of time for us both to dissect the night and our feelings for one another. Because I know now that Carrie has feelings for me. The first memory that came to me was of the kiss we shared on the way to our readings with the shaman. I'm savouring it for now, not sure yet where it will lead.
End of CD 3.